Tick tock, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world. It's your friendly neighborhood philosopher here, D. Wood, we've got two very important people for this topic. We've got Thaddeus from Reasoned Answers, who was just fired from his job, his regular job here in the United States of America, for criticizing Islam on his YouTube channel, and this happened after a Columbus Dispatch hit piece came out on him announcing that this guy he criticizes Islam, but they always frame that as anti-Muslim. That's standard. And we have Robert Spencer here as well. And Robert, according to the article, was one of the main charges against Thaddeus. One of the main charges against Thaddeus was he likes Robert Spencer and thinks that Robert Spencer is an okay guy for criticizing jihad, terror. And that makes these two guys the bad guys. And so just to recap for everyone who's watching, because I've checked this stuff out. Here's what's going on. So Thaddeus, we're gonna look at the articles. We're gonna look at the CAIR press release where they celebrate and cheer the fact that Thaddeus got fired. But what you have is Thaddeus says that he saw various problems that weren't really being addressed very much, like Muslims promoting child marriage and things online, promoting jihad, promoting all these things, and calling for the violent subjugation of the world. And he just thought, hey, I'm in the United States of America. There are people in other parts of the world who cannot speak out against this because they would be killed and so on. So I will speak out against it. And that makes him the bad guy, according to the Columbus Dispatch and CAIR and let's face it, most reporters in the world right now. You're a bad guy. And so what Thaddeus has now found himself in the exact same boat as Robert Spencer, who learned a long time ago that if you report on the daily jihad attacks that happen around the world, people being slaughtered, Christians, Hindus, Jews, minority Muslim groups who are just in the wrong area, and they have a majority Muslim group that wants to attack them. If you just report on these daily attacks and you show why from the Muslim sources these things happen, you're the bad guy. You are the evil, sick one. And so that's what we'll be discussing. That's what we'll be discussing today. So, Robert, people know you, but why don't you describe why you are a horrible, evil person, according to journalists around the world? Because I've heard that for a long time.
Yeah, well, it's certainly true. And the journalists what's her name, Danae King, she clearly just consulted the same sources that everybody else consults when they write articles like this, and that is the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ADL, and so on. And those are effectively repositories for dossiers against people that they have targeted to destroy so that they can destroy other people and use and then just continue to use the same arguments, the same claims. Like, well, we could talk. You said you're going to get to the Columbus Dispatch article, so I won't go into it now. But the whole idea is to have a list of claims, and it's put out there. Of course, she made no attempt to contact me or to get any kind of competing point of view on all this, and then used me to hang Thaddeus and get him fired. Now, if Thaddeus continues doing this work and gains more prominence, then down the road, somebody else will get fired for knowing Thaddeus. And this is how this works until everybody is destroyed, silenced, fired, marginalized, and nobody dares to say a word about all this. And that's really the whole end goal of what this is all about.
Hold on, Robert. So you're saying what happens is, if they can get you on some list like the Southern Poverty Law Center. So in other words, suppose you say a bunch of things. Suppose let's just say, suppose I'm a jihadi and I have plots for jihading a bunch of people and I want to subjugate the entire world. And most people are silent about it. But then I see you speaking out against it. You're saying that if I, as a jihadi, would want to silence you, all I have to do is start, let's say, complaining to one of these organizations and say, oh my goodness, I'm so scared. This guy keeps he's anti-Muslim and he's really scaring me. And oh my goodness, he's attacking my religion. And all I have to do is this, and I keep hounding them. And then they'll say, oh yeah, we'll put him on our hate speech list. He's a hate speech activist or something like that. And they'll put you on the list. And then other groups, when they want to respond to you, never at that point have to deal with anything you say again. They don't have to address any of your claims. They don't have to address any of your news reports about jihad around the world. They don't have to address when you point out where the jihadis are getting, because the jihadis are telling you exactly where they get it. Here's where we're getting it. Here's why we're doing this. And you just say, hey, look, and yes, it actually is in there. So we've got a problem here. They never have to address any of that again, because they can just say, oh, we don't have to listen to this guy. He's on the hate list. And not only that, as you pointed out, at that point, anyone who ever speaks out in the future, at any point, 10 years down the road, someone says, hey, I've got a problem with child marriage, and why all these Dawa guys, all these Muslim spokesmen and scholars are defending child marriage. I have a problem with that. They don't have to address that. All they have to do is say, wait a minute, this guy is criticizing child marriage, but, 4 years ago, he shared a tweet from Robert Spencer, so this guy's an Islamophobe, and they never have to listen to him, and they get him fired, which sends a message to the rest of the world. That's what's going on here?
That's what's going on here, and also it must be pointed out, I am a very, very small part of Thaddeus's life. I am not what the Columbus Dispatch would give you the impression, that I'm some kind of a mentor, or that Thaddeus has attended classes.
He burns incense to you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I was on Thaddeus's show once, and the funny thing about this, the real irony here, is that he didn't even agree with me. We were arguing about the existence of Muhammad. We had a very friendly discussion. It was a good discussion, but it was not like two guys seeing eye to eye on everything. And so it's really the height of irony that this one minor show, out of all the shows Thaddeus has done, this they would use. See, I think somebody must be out to get Thaddeus in Ohio, and somebody saw that I was on his show once and thought, and
use that.
Now he's given us the weapon to get him with.
Got him. And as Robert pointed out, now Thaddeus has been fired. What happens if they want to get the next person who complains about, the local Muslim representative defending child marriage, and someone says, hey, we got a problem here. This guy thinks it's okay to have sex with 6- and 7-year-old girls, and shouldn't we be addressing this? No, then that person, then the deny king will go, oh, but this person follows Thaddeus on Twitter, and Thaddeus was a person who was fired for being an Islamophobe. You see, we have to get him too. Brilliant strategy for silencing critics of Islamic terror and child marriage and subjugating the entire world. Brilliant. What's amazing is that, I don't know what Deny King believes. I don't know if she's a Muslim or not a Muslim or something like that. It's like, I get it with Muslims. I get why Muslims would want to silence critics and so on. What's amazing is all the useful idiots around the world. Just, hey, how can we silence critics for you? And I want to be clear here at the beginning. People like Deny King are exactly why the grooming gangs in the UK were able to spend decades grooming, raping, gang raping, and so on, little girls. Tens of thousands of little girls. By some estimates, hundreds of thousands of little girls for years. Why? Journalists prepared the population for that. Journalists spent years conditioning the population to think, if you say one word about Islam, we will blast you, we'll get you fired, we'll dox you, we'll put your name out there, so now you're in danger from all these guys. Keep your mouth shut. And what was the result? Again, at least many tens of thousands of girls being horribly abused because police, prosecutors, social workers, the general population were all completely terrified of saying one word about anything that Muslims were doing. This was all because of people like Deny King, conditioning the population. Whatever else happens, keep your stupid, filthy, kafir mouths shut about anything any Muslim ever does. And now they're doing the exact same thing here in the United States. And CAIR's been doing it for a long time. Matter of fact, Robert, I met you at the Rifka Berry. What year was that? It was like 2008, 2009 or something? When was that?
I think 2009.
And I remember back then, everyone.
Hey, wasn't that in Columbus, Ohio?
Whoa, it was. I didn't remember that. I didn't even remember that. So yeah. So and I don't know if Deny King
was probably in the same town.
Yeah, and Deny King if she was reporting back then, was blasting away at you. For anyone who doesn't remember, you had Rifka Berry. She was from a Muslim family. She left Islam, became a Christian. Her dad found out that she'd become a Christian, threatened to kill her, and she contacted some Christians in Florida and said, "My dad's saying he's going to kill me over this." And they said, "Look, better safe than sorry. Run. Just run. We'll take care of you." So she ran. What did the media do? Those Christians are pure evil. The girl is evil. She's a liar. Her father is the greatest man who's ever lived. Shame on anyone for thinking he would ever do anything. And then, of course, you and Pamela Geller and other people were saying, guys, this is a thing, and honor killings are a thing in Islam. Here, there are thousands of them every year around the world. Tons of them in Pakistan and so on. But they even happen in the United States. Is it possible that a teenage girl is lying? Yes, there are teenage girls who lie. But is it possible that her dad is actually threatening to kill her? Yes, this is a thing in Islam. So you should proceed with caution. And if you're going to err on the side of protecting that girl, because you can send her back, and if she's lying, okay, then nothing happens. If you send her back and she wasn't lying, then she dies. So that's kind of high stakes. Be very, very careful. And that's when I remember you and Pamela Geller were the most evil people in the world for saying this girl should be protected. And journalists, as far as the eye could see, were saying that you're the evil ones, not the command in Islam to kill apostates. That's completely harmless. Not the people who believe in honor killings. They don't exist. You guys saying, hey, protect this girl because honor killings do happen. And I just remember you guys were the worst people in the world. That's when people really started just obsessively attacking you, making sure you were on every hate group list on the planet for daring to say that there's a death penalty for apostasy, that there are these things called honor killings, all this stuff. And that's when I met you, and you were kind of you were the worst person in the matter of fact. I remember Nabil had converted, and I remember I've got video of this. Nabil walks up to you, puts a microphone in you, and he says, "Hey, when I was a Muslim, I was convinced you were the devil himself." We should restore that clip. I should go find that clip. I've got all my old videos and stuff on a hard drive. I should go find that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's the whole idea, that they ratchet up this hysteria, and it's the same plan. Everybody gets too afraid to say anything. And anybody that does say anything, they can use their old victories to build on new ones. Mm-hmm. Like, they got me canceled from stuff. They smeared me in the same way they're smearing Thaddeus now, and they got him fired. And so they can say exactly like what you said a minute ago. Oh, look, this Thaddeus, he's the guy who got fired because he was so Islamophobic. And that's exactly what they did with me. That this guy got banned from Britain and got this and that because he was so Islamophobic. And so that looks as if there's something there. And then they can use that to victimize other people in the same way and make sure nobody dares to say a word.
And that is indeed the case. All right, so we want to hear from Thaddeus now. First, we have, does he have a GoFundMe site? I put a link to Thaddeus's video. These are just for people because Thaddeus just got fired. He's not sure at this moment what the future holds, whether whether he can get another job, because keep in mind, once they're after you, anytime you go get another job, they can always, they'll hunt you down and make sure your new job, and your new job's going to want references, and you say, oh, here's where I work. Nah, he's an Islamophobe. Did you know that he criticizes Islam online? So it's not clear what the future holds. Thaddeus, if all else fails, you just go full time blasting away at all the things these jihadis are saying. But yeah, so I have a link to his video, and if you go over to his channel, you can find out how to support Thaddeus. But Thaddeus, so we're about to watch your video, so we'll see all that description. But anything else you want to share about what you've been doing all these years, or any of the background or something before we check that out?
Yeah. So a number of years ago, I became interested in Islam, maybe around 7 years ago or so. It was after the time I started working at Community Shelter Board, my now former employer. I became interested in Islam, and, I had basic understanding of the religion, knew some basic arguments against it because I was interested in Christian apologetics, but I didn't really know all that much about it. I figured that probably people were misrepresenting it. It probably wasn't really as evil as people were saying and stuff like that. But then I started to like really look at the text, look at the scriptures, look at what Muslims were saying, and it was very disturbing. And you see evil in the world, and what do? I asked this on my community post earlier today. I put a poll. When you see evil, what should you do? Should you keep your mouth shut so you don't get in trouble? Or should you speak up against it, even if it means personal consequences for you? And 96% of my Christian audience said that you should speak up for the truth. And that's exactly what I decided to do. You see these evil things happening in the world. You see all these people pretending like they don't exist, or calling you names for saying they exist, and someone's got to say something. So I decided that I needed to speak about it. Formed the channel about 6 years ago. I informed my boss at the time that I had created the channel. It was never an issue, right? I didn't like go around at work like talking about Muslims all the time, right? It never came up.
Okay, hang on. So hang on, just to be clear, you're not going around at work talking trash about Muslims and so on.
Correct.
Okay, so this isn't happening at work. So their problem with you is that it was exposed that you talk about Islam somewhere else online, and that makes you a dangerous person.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Okay. So anyway, I founded the channel about 6 years ago. The channel grew. I evolved. I began to understand Islam more and more. Took some pretty hard stances against Islam. Sometimes people in the comments, or I do live streams, so sometimes people in the live comments or who call into the show, have some things I would consider actually hateful to say. And when that happens, I say, no, that we're not here to say Muslims do this or Muslims do that, or to say this is what Islam teaches, right? Mm-hmm. I've tried to stick to the facts. I've tried to be intellectual about it. I have not intentionally tried to hurt people's feelings or something along those lines, but the truth is the truth, and it needs to be spoken. So in the last fall, we had a employee who worked very briefly for the Community Shelter Board. She fashioned herself as a social justice warrior. Had a lot of problems with a lot of people who worked there.
Worst. Those are the biggest useful idiots on the planet. They're always, these are the guys, and Denai King probably puts herself in the same camp. These are the ones who, I need to make a difference by silencing all these Islamophobes. And they don't realize that they've been conditioned by groups like CAIR, who it's pretty straightforward. You just, hey, if you're attacking the Islamophobes, we'll praise you for being a wonderful person. You're the best person, and you're so open-minded. We love you. You're great. And then anyone who dares criticize Islam, oh, you're evil. You're the worst person in the world. What are you actually criticizing? Child marriage, wife beating, jihad, terror. What is that? What you're? Yeah, that's what you're criticizing. Well, you're the worst person in the world. And you just program people like that, and over a period of years, and everyone who goes to journalism school gets bombarded with this. Everyone who goes to college everyone who goes to high school or junior high at this point gets bombarded with this stuff. But you say one word, it doesn't matter. They could be slaughtering people in front of your face. If you say one word about it, you're a horrible, evil person. But if you instead blast away at everyone who criticizes it, you're the good person. And they just absorb this, and they think they're the best people in the world when they are literally trying to produce a culture that is exactly like what we just saw in the UK with the grooming gangs. They're producing the same culture where you have an entire population that is terrified, absolutely terrified of saying one word of criticism. Anyway, just want to say, yes, that's the big picture. What you're pointing out is you have people who are a small part of this, a little social justice warrior who was working at your job, and then, of course, Deny King and the Columbus Dispatch and so on, but journalists in general. But yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so she developed a problem with me. I have no idea why exactly. She had a problem with a lot of people. She had some difficulty with normal social relations. David might know a bit about that. But in any case...
I mastered that. Now you got me liking the lady. I'm switching sides, everyone.
Allahu Akbar.
So I got on her bad side. I don't know how exactly, but she also fashioned herself as some kind of like detective or something. So she used her massive detective skills to go to my personal Facebook page. I had posted a link there to my YouTube channel when I had first started it 6 years ago. I literally haven't even been on Facebook in years, but the link still exists, or I hadn't deleted it. So the link was there. She saw that it was a Christian channel. She was probably already really upset just from the fact that it was a Christian channel. But then she went and she watched some of the content. She ended up filing an HR complaint against me back in the fall. In the end, she was dismissed for performance-based reasons, not related to anything to me or to the complaint. That they did. I was informed at the time that they did an investigation, that they had a lawyer involved, and that they did not find anything problematic. Liz is the lady's name. She had also been trying to convince people in the office that I was literally dangerous, that I was going to come in and shoot up the place one day, stuff like that. So she had quite an issue with me. So she was dismissed. We all moved on. No big deal, right? Then
Thaddeus?
last week,
Thaddeus?
I get a call from... Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I gotta ask, and if I'm jumping the gun, then tell me later, but do you think she called the Columbus Dispatch?
I guarantee it. So I got a call from a reporter last week. CSB also got a call, but when the reporter called me, she said she was investigating the quote-unquote toxic work environment at CSB. As it related to my YouTube channel, she told me that she had been shown an HR complaint. That kind of pretty much narrows it down to one person, because I don't think the company is leaking HR reports that look bad for them to the press. So it kind of narrows it down to one person as to who is responsible for this story. They told me that they were doing the story. I just did decide to answer their questions. In fairness, some of my responses were put in the article, but they also didn't bother to rewrite it. The lead sentence says that Thaddeus Spillman runs a YouTube channel in which he calls Muslims crackhead clown individuals, which is flat out false. I explained the context of that, and in fact is Ali Dawa, who called Christians crackhead clown individuals.
Yeah, hang on. Just clarify on that. How is that not libel? Like, if they know that and they post that and that's the takeaway, you said this when you're actually pointing out that Ali Dawa said this. How is that not libel?
Well, I suppose that it is technically true, because I called at least two people who are Muslims, such as people like Ali Dawa. I don't. So it was in the context of me reviewing a bunch of clips of Muslims saying stuff. So I called the people that we'd seen crackhead clown individuals by playing the clip of Ali Dawa.
After he said that about Christians, and you said, hey, look, I'll say it about you, or something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah. So basically, I adopted his words as a way of mocking him and saying, your hatred is not welcome here. Your hatred will be made fun of. right? Now, I wouldn't expect the reporter to know all that naturally, right? She wouldn't know the entire context of why I did things. But when I explained it, you think that maybe it could have been adapted there, right? That, he mockingly repeated the words of known Muslim instigator Ali Dawa, calling Muslims like him crackhead clowns. So
now, hang on just a second, because we're on the topic of Ali Dawa, but this is actually a good introduction to kind of what all three of us are doing. Muslims are saying things, and we're telling people what they say and responding to those things. But this is Ali Dawa. Let me give a couple of examples. So this is Ali Dawa talking to someone about what he would do if his daughter started menstruating at the age of 9. Let's go ahead and check this out.
You asked me, would I allow my daughter to get married at 9? I'm saying the analogy is wrong. Our teachers the woman has to be sexually, mentally, and physically ready. That means if my daughter got to menstruation, hold on, let me finish. If my daughter reached the age of menstruation at 9 years old, I would say you are ready. You are ready to get married.
Everyone catch that? If my daughter reaches the age of menstruation at 9, I would tell her she's ready to be married. So that's Ali Dawa. Here's a video of Ali Dawa with his wife showing Muslims, and he's basically training Muslims how to condition your wife to communicate through a whiteboard. Here's Ali Dawa with his wife.
On my right. Assalamu alaikum. Hope you well, inshallah. She's not going to be in the video, but she's going to have her say with this whiteboard that I bought her. But why is the default that the woman is innocent and the man is always guilty? Okay, that's something my wife wants to say. Salama probably had enough as women give a lot of chances, has zero tolerance now. Okay, this is why I want you here. Yeah, it's very important for you to be here.
You see the grin on his face when he's saying, it's so important for you to be here, and he's grinning to all his
yes, just to take the past traumas of their father or ex-husband, etc., and project it on other people. So, okay, she's saying she made the video, not him. I don't know his opinion.
So, guys, think about this. This is Ali Dawa. This is not some random guy, guys. This guy has 1.3, 1.4 million followers on YouTube, training his followers how to condition their wives to be fully covered and to communicate using a whiteboard. How many Columbus Dispatch articles are there about this? I don't know, but I would guess 0. But here's the thing. If Thaddeus criticizes Ali Dawa, that's this guy, Thaddeus gets blasted by the Columbus Dispatch. Isn't that interesting? This is how you condition people to not criticize what you see in front of your face. And then, of course, the famous clip here, it's in Thaddeus's video, but this is Ali Dawa telling ex-Muslims, he's specifically addressing the apostate prophet, one of my best friends, saying that when they get an Islamic state, ex-Muslims, apostates, will be executed. They will be executed. And Ali Dawa, he says, will be watching. In another famous clip, he says that he'll be eating popcorn, watching all these ex-Muslims being executed. He says this freely. He says this stuff freely on YouTube.
This is a part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a capital punishment, because people like you, little weaklings who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt, and we're proud of that. Yeah, capital punishment will be applied in an Islamic state. Yeah, not individuals going and doing it themselves like idiots. Yeah, no, under an emir, it is done. Yes, and we, you know what, we'll be watching. We'll be watching. Because if you're going to cause corruption in the land, that's going to cause more damage to the society as a whole, because the Sharia didn't come to protect an individual's right. Hey, can I drink alcohol? Yeah, sure. Drink alcohol, run someone over, kill them, set all this kind of chaos. No, Islam says the right of the community is greater than you individual wanting your right to freedom, which is BS. Absolutely BS, yeah? Don't get me started. So it just backfired on you.
So just to be clear, If you say all that, you are exempt from one word of criticism from Denai King of the Columbus Dispatch. But if you criticize anything you just saw, if you have any objection to this guy calling for an Islamic state where he can execute apostates, if you have a problem with him saying he will give his daughter away in marriage at the age of 9, if you have a problem with any of that, conditioning your wife to communicate through a whiteboard, if you object to any of that, you say one word of criticism, you're the bad guy. You're the evil one. Isn't that interesting stuff? And Thaddeus had to find that out the hard way. All right, so we want to check out. So just to be clear, Thaddeus, Ali Dawa said what? What did he say that you got in trouble for?
So Ali Dawa was speaking on Israel-Palestine, and he's talking about how Israel is genociding people, blah blah blah. And then he goes and says, and then you got these crackhead clown individuals who support genocide. And then, lest you be confused about who he means, he clarifies in the next sentence that he's talking about the Christian lobby. And then he goes on to explain why us Christians apparently are supporting Israel in the conflict. And that's because we secretly want the conflict to usher in the second coming of Jesus Christ, and then we will be free to personally massacre the Jews ourselves because we want to rule the world. Now, I would suggest that there might be a bit of projection going on Ali Dawa's part.
Yeah, I have to say, I support Israel and its right to defend itself, and I get told that by Muslims and by others. This is why you're doing it, and it's like, no, I believe that Jews are human beings created in the image of God, and that they are surrounded by a bunch of people who want to annihilate them and are openly calling for their complete extermination. And therefore, I believe that they actually, I don't want them to be exterminated. And therefore, I believe they have a right to defend themselves. And then that's it. That's pretty much the extent of my reasoning there. So yeah, interesting, wild stuff. So yeah, we'll check out this video. So that's Ali Dawa. Ali Dawa was saying that, and you flipped his words back at him, and then you're responsible. So he's okay, but you're the bad guy. All right, we got it now. Let's take these first couple super chats, and we'll jump into Thaddeus's video where he explains the whole situation. Jack Ray says, slow wood. No, slow Jack Ray. Thanos says, I've been reading Nabil's book. He says his family had prophetic dreams. I'm processing how a false religion could produce those. Do you think they could be demonic or just self-fabricated? I don't know. You do have people receiving even prophetic. If you look at Nabil's like mom's dreams, it's like things about kids she was going to have and things like that. I don't know. I don't actually have you have people like Nebuchadnezzar and so on who had prophetic dreams and so on. So you have even non-Jews, non-Christians biblically can receive dreams. So it's basically, I don't know. I don't know the situation. This makes me want to criticize Islam even harder. That's what it should do. Because, think about this, right? Thaddeus, one of the things that bothered you back in the day was it looked like you're not allowed to criticize Islam. And guess what?
Yeah.
CAIR and the Columbus Dispatch and your job just confirmed you were exactly correct when you started becoming concerned about Islam. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. I always knew that this was a possibility. I imagined it would be a Muslim that would get me in trouble as opposed to a social justice warrior, useful idiot. But hey, I always knew it was a possibility.
Rookie mistake. Yeah, all kinds of people are interested in silencing you. So yeah, but guys, think about that point right there. Think about that point. Thaddeus years ago says, there's all this stuff going on and people are scared to criticize it. Seems like I need to criticize it anyway, even if it costs me. And then he finds out, yeah, it did cost him. And yeah, you're not allowed to speak. In other words, thank you, CAIR and Columbus Dispatch and Thaddeus's job for confirming that he is absolutely correct. He is absolutely correct to be concerned that wherever Islam goes, free speech plummets. Your ability to speak about it plummets. You're allowed to criticize everything else, just not that one thing. You have proven him right. But yes, Aaron, that is the correct reaction. Why? Because people are trying to silence you. And so when you find out they're trying to silence you, this should make you want to criticize even more. Everyone on this stream is screwed because we all love Robert Spencer, lol. Thanks, Robert.
Yeah.
We're all going to be fired now.
Wait till Deny King sees this.
Yeah, I bet Deny King is like clicking on everyone's channel. Who's this? Who's this? Who's this in the chat? And she's like calling their places of work, hunting them down on Facebook and so on. Hey, Deny, just so you know, you're welcome. You're welcome to join us on our show with Liz and representatives from CAIR. We know you're not going to do it because you're all cowards. That's what you do. You try to silence these discussions instead of actually engaging them. But I'm saying it here. You want to join all three of us with three of you, or any one of us with you and your little group there? Open invitation. Let's all discuss this. And you can explain to us how you, by silencing critics of child marriage and wife beating and subjugating the entire world, how you're actually the good person and not what people consider a useful idiot. Why do the people in charge want to protect Islam? You guys have any theories?
Oh, yeah. They want to protect Islam because, in the first place, the Islamic groups in the U.S. have very skillfully portrayed themselves as a race and a racial minority that is subject to racism. And that's the worst thing you can be on the left. And so these leftist reporters, they fall for it completely. They never think about it. They never realize, well, wait a minute, there are Muslims of all races. There are jihadis of all races. This is not a racial issue at all. And so they have the CAIR and these other groups have completely convinced the media establishment, which is far to the left, that they are racial minorities who are being discriminated against. And so they have to be on their side. And that's the main reason for somebody like Deny King, who is probably a very low-level reporter, but she knows that racism is bad. CAIR calls her up and says, we got this racist here. Can you help us get rid of him? Absolutely.
And that is, in other words, Robert, you do have people who are trying to subjugate the world. And they want people to shut up about it because that's always the goal. It's just you have to do it differently in different societies. If you're in Pakistan, you can form a mob and silence them physically by murdering them. Or by arresting them and sentencing them to death for blasphemy. In fact, just this morning, I put out I sent out a fundraiser for a man who was sentenced to death for blasphemy in Pakistan. He fled with his family to Thailand, and then what happened? A Muslim organization in Pakistan put out a $50,000 hit out on him in Thailand. And so there was kind of an emergency fundraiser for the guy because he couldn't afford to just instantly relocate and so on. So we did a fundraiser for him to get out of there. But I mean, think about that. Why are people in Pakistan sentencing this guy to death? Because you have Islamic blasphemy laws, Sharia blasphemy laws. You can't criticize this or you die. Okay, well, I'll just leave then. Well, too bad. We will go and find you, right? That's how you do things in Pakistan. In the UK, you do it differently. In the US, you do it differently. You portray yourself as a victim of racism, and that's just enough for people. That's enough, and then everyone buys it, and it's just amazing. Let's see. The power of Ezra condemns those that have corrupted Muslims away from Ezra worship, for that is the true intention of Jibril's Injil. You see, Ezra is greater than 3. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a reference to the Quran saying that Jews worship Ezra. Share, says Grumpy Granny. Yes, guys, you can, of course, share this live stream, but there is the link to Thaddeus's video in the description. You could be sharing that everywhere. Hey, Thaddeus dropped out there. I could be sharing that wherever you can. What are you doing, Thaddeus? Playing games with us?
So my cat jumped.
Oh. Always blame the cat. Always blame the cat. But yes, guys, share. There's a link to the video in the description box. Share that everywhere on social media. Share it on YouTube and so on. And thank you for the super chat there. This is all hitting a little too close to home for me, given I'm from Ohio and have met you all, met all of you and more. Well, I've made my bed. Yep, you're done, Gabe.
You might as well just put in your notice now.
Yep, the Columbus Dispatch is on the job. You heard that, Deny? You heard that? Gabe met us. You see, he has to be fired now from wherever his job is. Can't meet Robert Spencer.
That's right.
You guys truly brave, and thanks for protecting humanity from Islam. No, Mukal, you're wrong. We're bad for protecting humanity from Islam. We're bad for trying to protect little 12-year-old girls from guys who want to have sex with them. Thaddeus, contact ADF Legal. ADF Legal? That a good one?
I'll take note of that. I am definitely looking into legal action. But I think that the bigger story here is that this is a real problem in our society. Like, even if there was justice for me personally from a lawsuit, it wouldn't put a solution to the actual problem, which is that people can't speak up against the evil.
It is a problem. What's her name? Who? Deny King? This is from this super chat was posted a little earlier. Deny, Danae King. And it's a pretty good name because I'm sure she denies the king. Do local chapters of CAIR know that they are working for Muslim Brotherhood? Deny King is a useful idiot that investigated the Columbus Catholic Diocese. Yeah, we're about to look at that. I looked at that too. This is a woman who became popular in her area as a journalist for exposing the abuse of minors in the Catholic Church. Now think about the irony. Think about the irony there. What do you do when you see a problem and see abuse and see something going on? You expose it so that it can be fixed. Okay, what about all of these Muslim spokesmen calling for child marriage and saying what a wonderful thing it is? What's that? What's that deny? Not one word. And if you criticize it, you're the bad guy. So just to be clear, if you criticize abuse taking place in the Catholic Church, good guy. You're a good guy. If you criticize what's going sexual abuse in a mosque, evil person. And she thinks other people are the racists and bigots who. What an idiot!
Because there's nobody in her world saying you can't be Catholicophobic. You're a Catholicophobe if you talk about abuse in the Catholic Church. You're evil and bigoted and hateful and racist. Nobody's saying that, so she doesn't have anything to worry about on that score. It's only the Muslim groups that are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Nice to see you. Is Ali Dawa vid definitely not a P-take? Have seen before, and it's unreal. UK crazy now. US too. Yep. Islam tends to have this effect on people. Why? Because it kind of uses any means necessary. If you can subjugate by force, you do that. If you can get people to do what you want by claiming to be victims and so on, then you do that. And you just look for what is going to make people do what we want. And they have a variety of methods, and they stick to them. In the end, Jesus still reigns, and all these liars and those who stand for evil will stand before the King of Kings. Even the useful idiots will see they have their own rights removed with Islam and Sharia law. Yep, that's why I mentioned that it's, from an Islamic perspective, I understand a Muslim doing this. It's the useful idiots who's like doing everything they can to subjugate them. It's like Queers for Palestine and so on. It's like, do you not know what they would do to you? Do you not know what they would do to you? Are you stupid? Do you want these guys to get your way? Because if you do, you die. How are you not putting this together? Anyway, nice shirt, my good man. Crown and fish together. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. It's a nice one. David, would you please say, and we're proud of that in Ali Dawa's voice. And we're proud of that. It's pretty easy. You just try to sound like a chipmunk or something. Apostate weakling, Ali Dawa strongling. That's true. Remember, hate speech is a phrase used by people who hate speech. Yeah, Jordan Peterson said that the other day. Shabbat shalom, Robert and handsome David. What's up? Go ahead.
Wait a minute, you got to do that in Jordan Peterson voice.
Oh. Let me try. AP is actually better at Jordan Peterson than I am, but remember, hate speech is a phrase used by people who hate speech. Eh? Oh, where's my maple syrup? Gotta go over to Tim Hortons and get some maple syrup, eh? Shabbat shalom, Robert and handsome David, and your friend too.
You got the wrong idea. I appreciate it, but I am a Greek Orthodox Christian. Thank you very much.
Although you get wasn't that one of the standard attacks by Muslims on you over the years? You're a Jew. And you're not even Jewish.
Oh yeah, all the time, every day.
It's the biggest insult they could give, right? It's bigger than Islamophobe. But you're a Jew.
Oh yeah, and they say, I even look like the caricature of the Jew that is the big anti-Semitic cartoon that they always put up. And they see you, look, you're him come to life. You must be Jewish.
You see, this is why he's an Islamophobe. Muhammad was real. And hello, everybody, in your face, Robert.
No,
Muslim,
he was not.
Too late. Muslims claim they respect Jesus more than Christians, and the Quran is a continuation of the Bible, but Jesus was a Jew, so if Islam existed when Jesus was still alive, how would that have worked? Yes, as long as you're a Muslim, they're okay with you being a Jew. If you're not, then you're the worst of creatures, according to the Quran. 6 degrees from Robert to Norway every time.
Yep, that's what they did. You're going to get to the article, so.
Yep.
We'll
how are Muslims a minority? Islam is the second largest religion in the world. It's one of life's great mysteries. Is true the Jews? Oh, this is from Ezra Gregory. Is it true the Jews worship me? Yes, according to the Quran. Thaddeus start a legal fund. Yes, we will be happy to share that. By the way, Thaddeus, there are organizations out there. Some of them do stuff pro bono and stuff on issues like this, but they kind of have to pick what they want to deal with, and some of them you have to pay them. If you find a place and they say, "Yep, we'll do it," and here's the amount, all you got to do is share that amount, and people will be glad to contribute. Thad answers, and I didn't even super chat. We got you, brother. That is correct. It's a lawsuit. It's not a lawsuit. It's a lawsuit. Get it? That's funny because I thought who said that? Abraham. I thought the same thing when Robert said that, a lawsuit, and I said I said it sounded like you said a lawsuit. A lawsuit. The more I research Islam, the more it seems like anti-Christianity. Yeah, I picked up on that too. David, you did a great job on the last IP stream. That's this person is joking. IP asked me if I could be on the stream the other day. He told me like a week in advance, and I said yes, and I marked it down. I didn't realize it was at like 4 or 4:30, so I missed it. Thank you, Freddie. And last one here. The Quran tradiction Muslims see in the Bible it's in fact actually the false chronicles of Muslim eisegesis make Quran biblical again. Very rude and Islamophobic, Rick. So we're gonna forward your information to the Council on American Islamic Relations and the Columbus Dispatch. Mm-hmm. Hey, Robert.
At least Rick didn't say he likes Robert, though. So there's that.
Hey, CAIR, you should change your name. I thought years ago you should change your name to the League on Islamic American Relations.
That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah, and then your initials would be LIAR, which is a better name for you, more accurate. All right. Anything else before we jump into this video?
Nope.
All right. Let's go ahead and check out Thaddeus's video, and I can tell you how terrible it is if needed. Let's see. And here we go.
Here in America, free speech is a core value. But say the wrong thing, and your life can be ruined in minutes. My name is Thaddeus, and I was just fired for speaking the truth about evil. Why? Because the council...
Hold up. A little side note we didn't touch on. I was also doxxed by the local newspaper in an article calling me Islamophobic. So your channel, people know that you're Thaddeus on your channel, but your channel's called Reasoned Answers. You don't share your full name with people, do you?
Correct. I haven't like intentionally tried to hide it necessarily, but I also haven't been using it.
And that's pretty smart, right? Because there are people, matter of fact, Robert, you can verify what happens if you become known as an Islamophobe who's criticizing Islam. Are there situations where they might try to take you out? Has this ever happened before?
Yeah, well, it's happened to me a couple times. We were having our Muhammad art exhibit and cartoon contest in defense of the freedom of speech in Texas in 2015. A couple of guys from ISIS drove all the way from Phoenix to Garland, Texas to kill us, but they were killed instead by our own security after they drew a gun and shot one of our guys. Security
sounds a little Islamophobic there.
Yep. And then I gave a speech in Iceland. David, it was wild because there were 500 people there, and there's only 300,000 people in Iceland. So that would be like speaking to 500,000 people in the United States. It was a massive crowd. It was a very nice event, And we went out afterward to get something to eat. A guy poisoned my drink, and I was in the emergency room all night. And anyway, this never would have happened if I hadn't criticized Islam. But these people thought the Icelandic guy, like apparently the guy that the lady that complained about Thaddeus, was not a Muslim but leftist.
And you know what's interesting about that, Robert, was the parallel with what just happened to Thaddeus, in that you noticed over the years that Islam tries to silence all criticism of Islam. So you think instead of like most people, oh, well, I better keep my mouth shut because they'll do something to me. You say, wait a minute, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, these are important enough that we actually need to take a stand when someone is trying to silence us. And therefore, we'll have a cartoon contest about Muhammad because they're killing people over this stuff. And therefore, we need to actually take a stand. And then, so what is your concern that Islam tries to silence free speech? And what do they do to try and prove you wrong? They don't try to prove you wrong. They just try to kill you and silence your speech.
Mm-hmm.
And so
nobody seems to notice. Everybody condemned us and said, you're just provoking them. And all these things happened as a result of that. And it was really just that the fact that they had proven our point was completely lost.
So, and that's exactly what happened to Thaddeus. He becomes concerned, hey, we aren't allowed to speak about this stuff. Therefore, I need to speak, at least while we're still allowed, and finds out he's not allowed even now. And so, just as those jihadis proved you right, CAIR proved Thaddeus right. So what's going on? They keep confirming, yes, you're absolutely correct. We are here to silence all of you if you dare say one word of complaint about Islam. You're absolutely correct, but shut up about it anyway. Interesting stuff, fun stuff. All right, so the point here is there are actually people who want to kill you if you get labeled an Islamophobe. And what happens? The Columbus Dispatch and CAIR label Thaddeus an Islamophobe, but also, oh, here's his name, very unique name, and here's exactly how you can find him if you want to slaughter him. What is that? That's part of the intimidation. That's part of the threat, right? Not only will we get you fired, we'll put your life in permanent danger, in permanent jeopardy. This is all good information for your potential lawsuit, Thaddeus. It's obvious what they're doing here. All right, back to this video.
The truth about evil. Why? Because the Council on American Islamic Relations demands censorship of anyone who criticizes the terrorists who they support. 7 years ago, I became interested in Islam. I believed it was more or less the same as most false religions, that it offered some good teachings, some bad teachings, but nothing particularly atrocious. I believed it was misunderstood. When I began to dig, however, I was disturbed.
What if you had a proper Islamic army? These people are cowards. These people, this ummah, is an ummah of lions. And the humiliation the kuffar will face will be far worse than what's happened before.
Question, how many Columbus Dispatch articles were there, Thaddeus, about that and all these other issues where you have all these guys saying, hey, we can fight these guys, they're a bunch of cowards. And then, of course, Columbus Dispatch proves them right. They're total cowards, right? But any articles on this stuff?
Oh, not to the best of my knowledge. No, I haven't read every article ever published, but to the best of my knowledge, no.
Now, you're flashing sources on the screen, which are too fast for people to read them as you're talking, but they're there in case people want to look at them. And here you have Sahih al-Bukhari 2785. Instruct me as to such a deed as equals jihad in reward. He replied, I do not find such a deed. So this is according to Muhammad. The greatest deed in the world is jihad. Interesting.
To be said is obligatory upon the Imam to keep conquering the enemy. This is offensive jihad. Every year. At least once a year he needs to conquer. He needs to raid, go into the enemy lands.
Submit, become Muslim, or you'll die.
If someone said jihad by fighting, not jihad in general, jihad by fighting is not part of Islam, he is committing a belief of kufr.
I know many Muslims don't hold these views, but the ones who do sure seem to be popular.
We are right before the conquest. We are at a stage in history where we know there's going to be a conquest. where we know that there's going to be a victory, where we know that there's going to be a reinvigoration, a revitalization, a regeneration of the Khilafah.
In
By the way, that's Mohammed Hijab. I have a tweet from him where he says that Western women who criticize Islam fantasize about being conquered by Muslims, so that because they know that they'll be taken as war booty, and that's what they actually want. I don't recall Deny King responding to that sort of thing, but think about this. Just think about that little example right there. Mohammed Hijab is saying, he's going around talking to Muslims. Guys, we're this close to where we have our uprising, we actually take over and we conquer the world. We're this close. This time of conquest is right here. It's about to happen. And if you're a non-Muslim, especially if you're like an ex-Muslim or something, who these guys people like Ali Dawa want to execute and be eating popcorn as they see you executed, they're saying all these things. But if you say, guys, we got a problem here. These guys are talking about conquering and subjugating us and slaughtering tons of people. Who's the bad guy, according to Deny King? You, not them. Not Mohammed Hijab talking about conquering the world. Not Ali Dawa talking about giving his 9-year-old daughter away in marriage. Not any of these guys. They're the good guys. You're the bad guy if you say one word about it. This is how completely morally bankrupt journalists in the West are.
Pakistan, a Muslim can proudly say these things.
1 second.
A reinvigoration, a revitalization, a regeneration of the Khilafah.
In Pakistan, a Muslim can proudly say these things, but if a non-Muslim dare question it, they can be jailed for blasphemy, if an angry mob doesn't get to them first.
Now, a court in Pakistan has handed death sentence to 4 individuals in Pakistan for posting blasphemous content.
A Christian woman in Pakistan sentenced to death under the country's stringent blasphemy law.
Allegations that 2 Christian men had reportedly desecrated pages of the Quran triggered the rampage involving hundreds of Muslims.
The police gave us 10 to 15 minutes to leave while announcements were being made from the mosque to attack us.
But I don't live in Pakistan. I live in America. I have to say something. Soon I learned that Islamic scripture demands apostates be killed.
When a person in an Islamic state apostatizes, leaves religion, let Allah be a witness that I'm telling the truth, that the punishment for apostasy is death.
Ha! I was quick enough to pause it right on that source. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari. Hey, Deny, we know you don't know anything about Islam, but this is their main source on the teachings of Muhammad. So the Quran is officially the speech of Allah. As far as the commands of Muhammad, this is Sunni Islam's favorite source. This is Sahih al-Bukhari, 6922, narrated Ikrimah. Some Zanadika, not quite atheists, but were brought to Ali. This is the 4th of the rightly guided caliphs, Muhammad's son-in-law, and he burnt them. So he sentenced them to death by fire. He burnt them. The news of this event reached Ibn Abbas, and these were people who left Islam. The news of this event reached Ibn Abbas, who said, if I had been in his place, I would not have burnt them, as Allah's messenger forbade it, saying, do not punish anybody with Allah's punishment. Allah's the one who's supposed to punish by fire. I would have killed them, according to the statement of Allah's messenger, whoever changed his Islamic religion, then kill him. And if you look more closely at the commands of Allah, that's death sentence by beheading. You behead them. You behead them. So this is just Ibn Abbas saying you shouldn't burn the apostates. You should chop their heads off. So, yep, Thaddius is correct. It is there.
Punishment for apostates. Note, that first guy talking there, it says right in front of him, the North American Council, American Muslim Foundation.
North American.
This is not like some guy in Pakistan, right?
This is not a guy in Pakistan. This is the North American Muslim Foundation saying absolutely apostates have to be killed. Columbus Dispatch, where you at? Oh, don't care because it's a Muslim. Columbus Dispatch. If this were Thaddeus or Robert saying anyone who becomes a Muslim should be executed, would that or would that not be front page news for the next 6 years on your stupid little pathetic paper? Yes, it would. But it's a Muslim saying it and therefore exempt. How does Islam always end up with a 2-tier system? You see it in the UK. They're calling the government the 2-tier government right now, and they're calling the prime minister 2-tier Kier for making 2 sets of rules. What do you have in Muslim countries? 2 sets of rules. 1 set for Muslims, another set for everybody else. What do you have in the West now? And who's enforcing it? Columbus Dispatch is enforcing it. Everyone's going this, and you think you're the good guys. You are absolute lunatics, Columbus Dispatch. Let's back up just so we can hear that again. Again, this is a North American Muslim group.
States be killed.
When a person in an Islamic state apostatizes, leaves religion, let Allah be a witness that I'm telling the truth, that the punishment for apostasy is death.
I don't want to keep interrupting, but some of this is like really, really important for people like Denai. We know you're watching, Denai. If not now, then later, because it looks like Denai's been stalking you, going, right? It looks like Denai's been stalking you, hunting you down. Even stuff behind a paywall she goes to and stuff. She actually pays you money to actually check it out. Anyway, interesting stuff. But think about this. So you have people, like half my friends are apostates from Islam. Half my friends are apostates from Islam. The other half of my friends are under a death sentence for criticizing Islam. But me and all my friends are under a death sentence from Islam. And the Muslims who are saying it are usually saying, some will say, yeah, we'll kill you if we get a chance. But others are saying, in an Islamic state, if we get our Islamic state, then we're going to execute you all. So, okay, you're going to execute me and all my friends if you ever get your Islamic state. Hey, Denai, should I be opposed? Am I a bad person for opposing the formation of Islamic State? And not wanting me and all my friends to be killed. Does that make me a bad person? Because according to you, yes. They're openly saying what they're going to do if they get their way. So I say, okay, I want to make sure you don't get that. And when I say we don't want that, you say, oh, you're evil. You're evil. You have to be fired. You can't be allowed to work in the United States of America if you don't want to be brutally murdered along with all your friends. What sort of how do you view yourself as the good person? Like how? You are a useful idiot. That is your job in life, is to be a useful idiot, helping subjugate your own population. That's what you are. And you're the good guy. Oh my goodness.
The punishment for apostasy in a correct Islamic state is death.
Just to be clear, that's Jake Broncatella, American Muslim, openly saying this on the PBD podcast. The PBD podcast, very popular podcast, saying yes, the penalty is death.
I know many Muslims disagree, but those proudly supporting it sure seem to be popular.
This isn't part of our religion. There's a reason to it. Yeah, there's a reason why there's a capital punishment, because people like you, little weaklings who leave their religion and cause corruption in the land by spreading it, the capital punishment in Islamic law would be applied to you. We have no doubt, and we're proud of that.
In Iran and much of the Muslim world, one can be fined, jailed, or killed for leaving Islam.
Libyan ex-Muslim Christian sentenced to death for apostasy.
Mauritanian Muslim clerics have called for the death sentence to be carried out against the blogger Muhammad Oud Sheikh Oud Mukatir. He was sentenced to death in 2014 for apostasy.
Ibrahim's case sparked international condemnation when it first came to light in May. She was imprisoned for abandoning Islam and sentenced to death.
But I don't live in Iran. I live in America, and I'm not an apostate. I must speak for those who can't. Then I discovered that Muhammad, the perfect moral example for all Muslim men to follow, married a 6-year-old child and penetrated her when she turned 9.
This is the reality. Deal with it. Our Prophet married a young girl.
That Aisha radiallahu anha was married to the Prophet, peace be upon him, at a very, very young age, right? So the contractual marriage at age 6, and then consummation.
He proposed his daughter at the age of 6, according to the most authentic reports, to Muhammad. So the Prophet Muhammad saw in a dream that he would be married to our mother Aisha.
Just to be clear, this is a guy who goes by the Muslim Cowboy. He is a convert to Islam from Texas and one of the world's leading defenders of child marriage. And he defends it because Muhammad did it. Let me back this up. Just want everyone to know, there's a Muslim from Texas. There's a Muslim, to be clear, this is a Muslim from Texas defending marriage to little kids. He's the good guy. If you point out or draw attention to what he's saying, you're the evil person, according to the Columbus Dispatch and CAIR, and you should not be allowed to work or have a job in the United States of America.
He proposed his daughter at the age of 6, according to the most authentic reports, to Muhammad. So the Prophet Muhammad saw in a dream that he would be married to our mother Aisha. But let's continue. We know that they consummated the marriage at the age of 9.
I know.
Just one thing. Just wanted for Denai's next article, since she loves exposing the abuses of the Catholic Church. Hey, Denai, this is one of many sources. Just want you to be aware. Just want you to be aware of this, Denai. Chapter. So this is Sahih al-Bukhari, which I mentioned, Islam's #1 leading source on the teachings of Muhammad. The chapter is titled "Giving One's Young Children in Marriage is Permissible." Why? By virtue of the statement of Allah, and for those who have no monthly courses, they haven't reached the age of menstruating, i.e. they are still immature. This is from the Quran. That's a reference to the Quran. Denai, Surah 65, verse 4, talks about marrying, having sex with, and divorcing, and then passing on to the next guy, girls, all before they've ever reached puberty. And the iddah, that's the waiting period before the next guy can have sex with her. The iddah for the girl before puberty, it's talking about prepubescent girls, is 3 months in the above verse. And then we have narrated Aisha that the Prophet wrote the marriage contract with her when she was 6 years old, and he consummated his marriage, had sex with her, when she was 9 years old, and then she remained with him for 9 years, i.e. until his death. This is why you have so many Muslims out there defending child marriage, and they're going around publicly calling for child marriage. They're saying it's a good thing. And if we pointed out, hey, children need to be protected from this, you will blast us and not them. You won't have one word to say about them. But if something happens in a Catholic church, you're on it. You're on it. And you're a good person, right? You're the good one in all this. We're the bad guys. We're the bad guys. We want 9-year-old girls to be protected from this. You want us silenced. And you're the good one. You're the sane one, right? Interesting.
They consummated the marriage at the age of 9.
I know most Muslim men wouldn't personally do the same, but sickos exist in every land, and those defending their right to follow the Prophet's perfect example and moral teachings sure seem to be popular.
Are you saying someone can marry and have sex with someone prior to getting their period?
Yes, when there are signs of physical maturity, then it becomes permissible for the husband in Islamic law to have marital relationships or consummate the relation with his bride. And this is the example of the Prophet.
Could a man have a marriage to a 5-year-old consummated if she started precocious puberty?
If she starts showing signs of physical maturity, then yes, that's permissible, as I stated. That's
what about
the
age 4?
If there are signs.
What happens when people dare to question such barbaric abuse of girls? In the United Kingdom, Muslim grooming gangs flourished for years as parents who spoke up for their victim daughters were shamed by the press and arrested by police for spreading hateful propaganda.
Sound familiar, Denai? Shaming people for daring to criticize what's going on? Sound familiar, Denai? Because that's what you do, and that's what your entire newspaper does, the Columbus Dispatch.
People in Britain woke up to shocking news. In the small northern town of Rotherham, 1,400 young girls had been groomed, abused, trafficked, and raped. Most of the victims were white. Most of the abusers were ethnically Pakistani. Fears of being seen as racist had contributed to a cover-up.
My cases, along with thousands of other little girls in Telford, Rochdale, Rotherham, Oldham, Banbury, countless towns and cities across the UK, never had their day in court and never saw their abusers brought to justice, whether by Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs in the 80s or Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs in the 2010s or 2020s.
But I don't live in the United Kingdom. I live in America. Surely my speech can't be silenced. I must fight for the innocent victims. Islamic scripture proudly declares that followers of Muhammad are the best people ever made, and that non-Muslims are the worst of all creatures.
First of all, the Quran is clear, categorical, that disbelievers who disbelieve in God and His messengers will go to hellfire, and they are the worst of creatures. Quran is clear on that.
As Allah in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah says, they are worse than cattle.
The Quran forbids friendship between Muslims and non-Muslims.
Every year, thousands of infidels are killed by people who take these words seriously. Every day, dozens take to YouTube and social media to proudly declare their hatred.
ISIS claiming responsibility for the attacks in Egypt.
that killed at least 44 people, injured more than 100.
More violence in Nigeria, this time twin bomb attacks in a central city, killing at least over 100 people.
We hate the kuffar for the sake of Allah.
Enmity and hatred, meaning we're enemies. Let's not beat around the bush. We don't love each other. We're not on the same page. We are not friends.
But there is a legislated type of hatred for the sake of Allah. You have to hate certain people. It is from our religion that we have to hate them for the sake of Allah.
I know many Muslims aren't hateful, but where was the outrage when Ali Dawa called Christians who support Israel
crackhead clown individuals
and explained?
And why are they supporting them? Why is the Christian lobby? You know why? They just want the coming of Jesus so they can end up massacring the Jews. That's what they want to do. That's what they're on about. They're just like, listen, we don't care how it's done, as long as it's done, when Jesus comes and we're going to rule the world, etc.
If that isn't hate speech, I don't know what is. What would happen if I were to mockingly repeat the words in defiance of Ali Dawa's hate? Surely a reporter wouldn't attribute the words to me and say I used them to describe Muslims in general.
I paused it here. Columbus Dispatch. Is this from Deny as well?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Okay, a community shelter board employee is under investigation after the Dispatch asked questions about his YouTube channel. On the channel, Thaddeus Billman, there you have it, doxed. But you did it to yourself now, since the word is out. You put it in your video. Calls Muslims crackhead clown individuals. And openly states he is a fan of a man the Southern Poverty Law Center calls one of America's most prolific and vociferous anti-Muslim propagandists. Interesting. So that's at the top of the article. So these are the main two accusations, right? Mm-hmm. So on the one hand, you're repeating what Ali Dawa said. Ali Dawa says it, and they say, you say it. You say it, because you repeat it back to them. And then the other main criticism is you're a fan of the guy who's with us right now, whose crime is that he's been reporting on jihad terror for decades now.
Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to get into the article later, but in my response to the accusation that I liked Robert, I basically said, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with him on every single point. I don't know his stance on every single point, but as near as I can tell, he's a very fair individual. He's just reporting on basic facts and going to sources and showing what the sources say. I don't see a problem. Right?
Well, you notice the Southern Poverty Law Center doesn't even say that I'm lying or that what I say is wrong or anything of that kind. All they do is say prolific, which means what? I put out a lot of stuff, and vociferous, I'm passionate about it. Anti-Muslim is a bit tendentious, but obviously I'm criticizing Islam. And so all they're really saying is this guy is criticizing Islam. They are trying to enforce Sharia on non-Muslims in the United States because it's really not illegal and there's nothing wrong with criticizing Islam. As you've very ably shown in this video, there are ample reasons to criticize Islam, but they don't get into any of that. They just use these kind of vague words to give the impression that you're hanging around with some terrible Hitler guy and therefore you are a bad guy as well.
Hang on. Just a quick question for everyone. Our panel here, we would all be classified as Islamophobes and anti-Muslim bigots and so on for what we say. Do we all acknowledge that there are peaceful Muslims in the world who don't want to harm us and they're just trying to live normal lives?
Of course.
Are any of us calling for Muslims to be, for people to go around attacking Muslims, killing Muslims, persecuting Muslims, anything like that?
Never once.
What are we doing? We're saying there are some people like the ones in the video that Thaddeus has in the video. They're calling for all sorts of really horrible things, molesting children, slaughtering unbelievers, killing apostates, and so on. And we point these things out and we say where they're getting them from. That's what we do. And that makes us anti-Muslim, even though we're not calling for persecution or violence against Muslims or anything else like that. So if criticizing a person's views and a person's position and what they say, if that means you're anti-Muslim, if you're talking to Muslims, what should we conclude about Deny and the Columbus Dispatch, who are criticizing the views of Christians right now? 3 Christians right now, and Deny and the Columbus Dispatch are criticizing our position because they regard our position as dangerous and harmful. What does that mean? It means the Columbus according to their own definition of what it means to be anti-something, they are an anti-Christian newspaper, and Deny King is an anti-Christian, Christophobic bigot. Denying the king.
She's one of America's most prolific and vociferous anti-Christian propagandists.
Yep, according to their own definition here. Mm-hmm. This is amazing stuff. Amazing stuff, isn't it? It's a funny thing. Consistency is a funny thing, isn't it? Deny. Anyway, back to the Columbus Dispatch here.
Surely terrorist-sympathizing CAIR wouldn't use Ali's hate to demand my head. So what happens in America when you stand up to evil and hatred
One second.
them to describe Muslims in general?
Oh, whoops. Let me get the next one.
Surely terrorist-sympathizing CAIR wouldn't use Ali's hate to demand my head.
CAIR, Ohio. Columbus Shelter Board should fire employee who posted anti-Muslim YouTube videos.
So what happens in America when you stand up to evil and hatred in the Islamic world? You get fired.
Dear Thaddeus, this letter serves as formal notice of the termination of your employment with blah, 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 Shelter Board, effective March 14th, 2025. Interesting.
After 8 years of accolades and promotions, I was tossed aside like yesterday's garbage less than 48 hours after the story was published. No compassion, no empathy, no understanding, just a goodbye, and we didn't say good luck. Left to fend for myself and my disabled wife. My full story is coming soon, so subscribe for that. Now, how should we respond to
by cowering in fear, like Deny
such intimidation and social jihad? Should we roll over and die, apologizing for our sins against Islam? Will our wokest media and spineless corporations save us? Should we beg our politicians focused on their own re-election to do something? Or should we take matters into our own hands and fight back against this corrupt culture and the evil it protects? Fight back, not with guns and bombs, but with words and videos, with media and the spread of truth. I know my answer. If you want to join me, share this video with whoever you can and see the video description if you want to do more. Together, we will stand and we will be victorious.
So, everyone, you have it there. Thaddeus saw some problems with Islam over the years, like many of us. Matter of fact, just so everyone knows, I mainly started studying Islam because my best friend in college was a Pakistani background Muslim. He tried to convince me that Islam is true. We ended up getting into a series of discussions throughout college, and it went on through until he was in medical school. Then he became a Christian, and I thought, cool, I'm done with Islam, because my interest in Islam was that my best friend was a Muslim who was trying to tell me that it's true. And so we had those discussions and so on. It took him a month until he got his first death threat, and it was attached to his car. So that's someone who knows him. A month, he got his first death threat attached to his car. And over time, I was, my friend's under a death sentence now. Now, what kind of person would I be if I said, here's an ideology that calls for the death of my best friend, and I keep my mouth closed? Well, according to Deny, keeping my mouth shut would make me the best person in the world. Speaking out and saying, no, do not kill my best friend, and do not follow the teachings of a man who calls on you to kill my best friend, that makes me the worst, most evil person in the world, according to the Columbus Dispatch. Boy, you guys are doing a bang-up job out there. Bang-up job. All right, should we jump into this article, guys? I know Robert can't be here all night long because he's a bit on the old side.
Oh, more than a bit, my friend.
He's a little on the old side, but let's go ahead and check this out, and then Robert, you can dip out whenever you need to.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and check out some of this awesome crack reporting from.
Crack is right.
Yep, crack is right.
Crackhead reporting.
Okay, so what do we got here? All right, Columbus Community Shelter Board fires employee with anti-Muslim YouTube page. Anti-Muslim because you criticize the views of some Muslims. What does Deny King do? She criticizes the views of some Christians, and therefore, by her own definition, she is an anti-Christian propagandist and bigot, according to her own definition. You know what? Matter of fact, let me go ahead and pull up, since Deny King is right there. Let's check out the description. See if I can get this up. Deny King, she, her. Good. She's got her pronouns there. Deny King covers various underserved communities at the Columbus Dispatch in Ohio. She previously
otherwise I would have thought that was a guy.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know these days.
Yeah. She previously covered religion and immigration for 6 years and dug deep. Oh, good. She digs deep into the scandal of pre-sexual abuse of minors in the Roman Catholic Diocese of Columbus, as well as several other faith and immigration topics. So you have it there. You got to dig deep if priests are abusing minors. Well, what about it? What if it's happening in the mosque? Keep your mouth shut about it, or you're an anti-Muslim bigot. King reports on veterans, disabled people, LGBTQ issues, and more. She has won several awards for her work at the Dispatch and is passionate about holding powerful people and institutions accountable and telling people stories and getting people fired if they dare criticize child marriage, apostasy laws, Islamic terror, and so on. Before she came to the Dispatch in 2016, King reported at 2 small Northwestern Ohio newspapers covering business, education, and health. Wow, what a great, great person. Just ask her. She'll tell you.
Hey, David, go back to that for a minute. Can you go back to her bio for a second?
Sure.
You see what her title is? Underserved Communities Reporter. So her whole focus is on groups claiming to be victims. And that's how CAIR was able to get to her and say, oh, we're poor victims of these terrible Islamophobes. Can you help us? And of course, that's her beat. That's what she does all day.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, just imagine a scenario where a Muslim in her area, suppose a Muslim was complaining. Suppose a Muslim has a YouTube channel and he says, hey, did you know that people are calling for violence and abuse of children and so on? And he said these kinds of things and he's criticizing some group for promoting these things. And then the Muslim got fired from his job. A Muslim got fired from his job for criticizing the abuse of children or attacks on the Muslim community or something like that. I think her reaction would be different. I think she would be blasting away at anyone who had any role in getting this Muslim fired. And yet, what does she do? Oh, you're complaining about child marriage and terror and apostasy laws and all the guys calling non-Muslims filthy animals and saying that we need to be subjugated? You criticize that? Oh, you can't have a job. Not in the United States. Not while I'm at the Columbus Dispatch. Again,
any Muslim that got fired would have been a big hero in her reporting.
Yep. They would have been the martyr, and the Columbus Dispatch would have been defending them for years. This is the anti-Christian bias of the Columbus Dispatch and Deny King. They just hate, if a Christian does it, you have to be punished. If a Muslim does it, he's a hero. Different standards, bunch of hypocrites. Anyway, we've got Columbus Community Shelter Board fires employee, and we've got the employee right here, ladies and gentlemen, with anti-Muslim YouTube page. And they seem to put lots of ads in their stuff. All right, we got the key points here. A Community Shelter Board employee. Hey, that's you, Thaddeus, who posted anti-Muslim content. Translation, guys, just notice the code is anytime you criticize they don't say what you're criticizing as far as I can tell. It's you're posting content saying, hey guys, there are people out there supporting child marriage. We need to say something about this. There are people there supporting jihad and calling for the conquest of the West and so on. We need to say something about this. How do they describe it? Anti-Muslim, like you're just posting, let's get rid of the Muslims. We have to destroy the Muslims and kill them all. I mean, this, just the way they describe it, I would think is like horribly misleading and terrible, awful reporting. The Community Shelter Board says it does not tolerate hate. What sort of hate? Defending children against people who want to molest them is hate, unless it's a Catholic priest, and then it makes you good. Or discrimination, but declined to comment on Billman's firing. Billman's YouTube channel, they sure love mentioning your name in this article about how you're an Islamophobe who apparently is under a death sentence now. Billman's YouTube channel featured interviews with known anti-Muslim figures. And guys, you seen what they do? One word of criticism. Keep it, guys, keep in mind. It's exactly what happened in the UK. You say, hey, there's a bunch of guys that are going around grooming, raping, gang raping, pimping, and so on, 12-year-old girls. This is a problem. What did they say? You're anti-Muslim. And they filled the entire country with a fear of pointing these things out. The result, tens of thousands of young girls it happened to. And Denai King, people exactly like you were the ones who were responsible. The main work of subjugating the West was not done by jihadis. It was done by journalists who are clearing the path for them. You stupid, idiotic cowards. Quote me on that in your next article. Billman's YouTube channel featured interviews with known anti-Muslim figures. And we've got the main anti-Muslim figure that they're talking about right here. Wow, with star-studded cast here. Let's go and read this. You guys jump in anytime you, I'll just read it. Anytime you guys want to jump in with something, you can.
Well, you know, that anti-Muslim thing is very important, David. That they have been doing that for years. Any kind of criticism of Islam. I've never written about Muslims do this or Muslims do that. It's always that it's about Islam. Individual Muslims may do this or that, but I don't write about or speak about Muslims in the aggregate, because obviously they all have different points of view and they're all doing different things. But it's always anti-Muslim whenever the mainstream media gets onto this. And it's designed to give exactly the impression you're saying, that we're just trying to get people targeted or make people hated. And that's actually what they're doing to us.
And notice the hypocrisy here. Hey, check this out. Check this out. Ready? So this is Muhammad. This is Sahih Muslim. Jabir bin Abdullah said, Umar bin al-Khattab said that he heard the Messenger of Allah say, I shall certainly expel the Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula until I leave only Muslims there. The Jews and Christians lived on the Arabian Peninsula for centuries before Muhammad. Muhammad comes along, says, I want to get rid of all of them. Is that anti-Christian or anti-Jewish? Suppose I say it. Suppose I say, hey, this is anti-Jewish, anti-Christian bigotry. Is it, according to Denai? No, we're the bigots. We're the bigots for pointing this out, right? So in other words, This is actually anti-Christian and anti-Jewish. But if you criticize this, you're bad and you're anti-Muslim. You're anti-Muslim, right? Hey, Denai, how about this one? This is from the Quran. Chapter 98, verse 6. Verily, those who disbelieve in the religion of Islam, the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, from among the people of the scripture, Jews and Christians, so that's all of us here. That's all of us here. The three people who are right here. We're all Christians, and we all do not believe in Islam. What does it say? It says, we'll abide in the fire of hell. We are the worst of creatures. We're lower than dogs. We're lower than pigs. This is the Quran calling Jews and Christians who reject Muhammad lower than dogs, lower than pigs. Is this anti-Christian? Would you describe the Quran as anti-Jewish and anti-Christian bigotry? I'm just asking, because if we disagree with anything in Islam, you call us anti-Muslim. So obviously, this is saying something far worse. I don't go around calling Muslims the worst of creatures, saying they're lower than pigs. So this would be significantly worse, wouldn't it, Denai? Hey, Denai, what about this? This is Muhammad, Sahih Muslim, 7012. The Prophet said, no Muslim man dies, but Allah causes a Jew or a Christian to enter the fire in his stead. This is Jews and Christians will pay the price for Muslims in hell. Interesting, right? And then one more right here. How about this one? Denai King. It was narrated that Abu Huraira said, the Messenger of Allah said, the hour will not begin. This is, you don't get rewards in paradise, until the Muslims fight the Jews, and the Muslims will kill them until a Jew hides behind a rock or a tree, and the rock or tree will say, O Muslim, O slave of Allah, there is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him. Is that anti-Jewish? Denai, is that anti-Jewish bigotry? let me get this straight. If we criticize this and say this is bad, we're anti-Muslim bigots. But if a Muslim quotes us and says, "Yeah, we're going to kill Jews. They're going to be hiding behind trees, and the trees are going to help us," they're the good guys, right? Do you not realize how insane and mental you are? Like what a complete lunatic you are? You are a complete, absolute buffoon, useful idiot, and you're too stupid and brainwashed to even see it. This is what anti-Jewish bigotry actually looks like. They're calling for them to be exterminated. But if we criticize this, you say we're the bad guys, and you don't say these guys are criticizing the mass slaughter and genocide of Jews. You say these guys are anti-Muslim, and you never tell people what we're criticizing. Why don't you be honest in your reporting for once in your pathetic life? All right, back to the article. Again, guys, jump in anytime you want as I go through this. I'll just read it. You guys can comment on anything you want. This story has been updated with additional information from Thaddeus Billman and CAIR. Well, got the dream team there. The community shelter board employee who posted anti-Muslim content, notice they never say he criticized the killing of apostates and so on his YouTube channel, has been fired, according to a video he posted on his channel. Thaddeus Billman, former operations administrator at the Community Shelter Board, CSB, announced his firing Sunday in a subscribers-only video on his channel, Reasoned Answers. The video is titled Emergency Meeting on the Future of Reasoned Answers. So wait, this is a private video, Thaddeus? This is not the...
Yeah, she writes subscribers only, but she probably doesn't know exactly how YouTube works. It's actually a members-only video that you have to pay to be a YouTube channel member in order to watch, which means... she paid to be a channel member, which means she has given money to a known Islamophobe. Just want to point that out.
Oh, that's great. Thaddeus, also, that means you got to cross-post to this video, if it's okay with David, on your channel, so we make sure Denai sees it.
Oh, Denai, we know Denai's watching. But yeah, guys, I just want everyone to know, since Denai watched the video, she did pay Thaddeus money to watch his video, and therefore she is actually funding the work of a known Islamophobe who is connected to Robert Spencer.
Oh man, CAIR is going to have a field day. She's going to be fired.
And Denai King, if you want to contribute more funds to our work, you have a link to Thaddeus's video. You can sign up to support him in various ways. Robert too, and me. Send us all the money you want to send us to support our work. Thank you for funding our criticism of Islamic terror and child marriage and wife beating and so on. Emergency meeting on the future of Reasoned Answers. In the video, which costs $1.99 to view, Billman said he was... even admit it. Shame on you. Billman said he was fired on Friday, March 14th, the day after he was placed on administrative leave on March 13th. Billman's YouTube channel, started in April 2019, has 26,000 subscribers and more than 355 videos. Hey guys, let's try and get that 26,000 up to 50,000 here in the very near future. So if you're not subscribed to Thaddeus' channel, go check it out and subscribe. Again, link to his channel and the link to the video that we watched are in the description box. The CSB website no longer showed Billman's name on its staff page on Monday. Hey, they got a nice...
Sorry, David, I actually meant to stop you earlier, where it says that former operations administrator, which is funny because that's not my job, was not my job title. It was my original job title, but it was not my job title at the time that I was fired. And they did get my job title right in other places in the article. My actual job title is data analyst. So
that sounds like some nerd
to me,
stuff.
it kind of reflects in the level of reporting here where they can't even consistently identify what my job title is.
Yeah, well, they didn't, CAIR didn't tell them to get it right. Okay. CAIR does not demand accuracy about your job description. They just demand that you be called anti-Muslim if you criticize killing apostates. Shame on you. Billman's YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. CSB no longer. Okay, we already read that. We've got a nice picture of Thaddeus there. Oh, look at me. I've got books.
They asked me for a photo, so I had to take one quickly. And I said, this is a decent background.
Look, I have a bookshelf in my background. I'm so smart. When reached for comment this week, CSB said its policy is to not comment on the employment status of current or former employees. The nonprofit also repeated that CSB is committed to fostering an inclusive and respectful environment, unless you just have a problem with killing apostates, in which case you're not welcome here. We do not and will not tolerate hate or discrimination in any form. What do you mean by discrimination, CSB? What do you mean? The only thing that Thaddeus is doing that you could consider discrimination is he's saying, hey, we got people calling for the public executions of apostates, and we should be against that. We've got people promoting child marriage, and we need to be against that. That you view that as discrimination? Then what do you call what you did to him? That would be discrimination, wouldn't it? You're saying, hey, I disagree with your views, and so we're firing you. So is discrimination good? Is discrimination right or wrong? It's fine if you discriminate against him for his views, but if people are calling for the deaths of apostates, subjugating the world, slaughtering unbelievers, slaughtering Jews, you can't discriminate against those people, right? Just by criticizing their views? It seems like the entire world has gone completely insane on this issue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see this all the time, right? That people say that they're all for openness and inclusion, and they want everyone to be valued, which they actually mean we want everyone to exactly agree with us on everything. And if you disagree with anything, then you're a hateful individual and you're not open and inclusive. Interesting that some views, are just too unacceptable, like any view that you have that's different than what that person has, for it to be tolerated. And that includes, people who say that things like child rape is unacceptable. Well, those people, they got unacceptable views. They're not open and inclusive. We can't have them work here.
Yeah, if you're not open to child marriage and killing apostates and so on, open-minded about that sort of thing, then you're an evil bigot and you have to be fired. Billman was placed on leave after Dispatch article. Oh, they're bragging about it. They're bragging that they got you fired. Early on the morning of March 13th, it was a dark and sexy morning. The Dispatch published an article, the bravest article ever written, detailing the content of Billman's YouTube channel. What was that content? He quoted Ali Dawa back to him, but we went ahead and just attributed it to him. And we pointed out that he is a fan of Robert Spencer, who has spent the past several decades reporting on things that Western journalists are too cowardly to report on.
As they said themselves, I have 355 videos. So their detailed review of my channel was to see from the title of a video that I'd interviewed Robert Spencer, and to watch one video at least, right? Because they've mentioned one video. They in fact did not mention any other video other than those two. So the detailed review of my content was they watched through one video, which probably they didn't actually watch through. Probably the person who came to them with the story had watched through and given them a timestamp to go to. And they saw that I had talked to Robert. So detailed review, 2 out of 355 videos.
Great job, Columbus Dispatch, and you are you deserve some new awards, Denai King, for your crack reporting. Just to be clear, guys, the method of the Columbus Dispatch is, if you criticize child marriage, Islamic terrorism, killing apostates in Islam, and all the horrible things that you have various Muslim speakers claiming that unbelievers are disgusting creatures that we need to be subjugated and so on. If you say any of that, the Columbus Dispatch is just going to label you anti-Muslim and not say anything about what you're actually criticizing. Why? Because they know their readers will assume that you're just going around saying, we need to kill all Muslims. They'll assume that. And so all the Columbus Dispatch will do is to completely misrepresent you and what you're doing in order to get you fired, because they're taking their marching orders from groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations. And what are they doing? They're working to establish a society that is exactly like what we just saw in the UK, where Muslims can do anything they want and no one can ever say a word about it, even if it's child marriage, terrorism, and anything. That's what they're trying to do. And they think they're the good guys. They're the good guys. So, Billman's YouTube channel. When reached on Tuesday, Billman said he was placed on administrative leave. Later, on March 13th, he said he told the human resources manager that he wanted to say goodbye to people and make a generic statement about how he doesn't hate Muslims, but was never given the opportunity to say goodbye or anything else. So all you were saying is like, hey, they represented me as if I hate Muslims. I don't hate Muslims. And they're like, no, you can't say that. You have to go away with everyone thinking you hate Muslims, because that's what the Columbus Dispatch and CAIR say. And that's who we take our orders from now. He was also not allowed to clean out his desk and take his personal belongings with him. Gosh, sounds like they just kicked you out the door. On Friday, March 14th, the Council on American Islamic Relations, Ohio, called for Billman's firing, condemning the content on his YouTube. Great. YouTube, everyone. The Columbus Dispatch. People wonder why no one trusts the mainstream media anymore. And people, no, I'm not talking about the YouTube. Just this style of reporting. They don't understand why people don't trust the media anymore, and they go to like us to get information, because this is what you get with the Columbus Dispatch. Condemning the content on his YouTube and condemned his running of the channel and employment at CSB as something that should alarm us all and is unacceptable. Hey, Robert, what do you think? What do you think would happen? What do you think the Council on American Islamic Relations? What would their reaction be if a Muslim was fired from his job? If he was simply complaining online or making videos about people who are, let's say, calling for the deaths of Muslims. Suppose people were calling for the deaths of Muslims and saying that Muslims should be subjugated and so on. And a Muslim complained about this in a YouTube video and said, guys, there are non-Muslims out there saying that Muslims need to be killed and so on. This is wrong. This is immoral. And a Muslim got fired for saying that. Do you think the Council on American Islamic Relations would be saying, great job for getting rid of that person. Great job.
They would be saying, free speech, Islamophobia.
Isn't that interesting? So guys, what's the takeaway there? CAIR wants a two-tier system. Muslims can say
two-tier CAIR.
Yeah. Two-tier CAIR. Nice. Guys, they want a system where a Muslim is protected, but a non-Muslim is not protected. A Muslim can criticize non-Muslims or things they do, but a non-Muslim cannot criticize anything in Islam at all, period. That's what they want. And you've got the Columbus Dispatch doing their work for them, carrying their water for them. What a joke. What a joke. Billman said he was fired on Friday. Less than 24 hours after I was put on administrative leave, I was summarily dismissed. Billman said in the video, I was fired from my job of 8.5 years on Friday. The company was aware of my YouTube. Oh, they spelled it right this time. I thought it was going to be YouTube again. Company was aware of my YouTube channel from the very beginning. It had never been an issue. So the company was aware of it before. Wait, just to be clear, your company was aware of it. They didn't have a problem with it before. They looked at it before and they said, okay, that you're allowed to do this. Once CAIR and the Columbus Dispatch get involved, then it's, okay, we don't want to deal with this. We have to fire this guy. That about right?
Correct.
So in other words, they don't want to deal with the blowback from CAIR of keeping you on. In other words, they don't want to die on that hill. They don't want to fight that fight.
Yes.
So if it was just you and your YouTube channel, they would look at that and say, "Well, oh, come on, this guy's saying don't marry kids and stuff. Oh, come on, we should give him a medal, not fire him." But CAIR gets involved. No, this is anti-Muslim bigotry. And the Columbus Dispatch, oh my goodness, you condemn terror. You condemn killing apostates. You're an anti-Muslim bigot.
And that's how it always works. Mm-hmm. That's what they always do. And CAIR, it's really that CAIR has all these scalps on its belt and all these victories because the companies involved just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have Muslims out picketing. They don't want to have the newspapers saying that they're racist and Islamophobic. And so they cave. And then CAIR says, see, we are fighting Islamophobia. And they get donations from Muslims because they're fighting Islamophobia. And they can point to all these people that have gotten fired because they were Islamophobic. And really, it's just that the companies didn't want to deal with all the trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so again, that's a very important point, guys. So since Thaddeus has been fired now, so this is what they do. They'll post multiple articles and multiple calls for Thaddeus, someone like Thaddeus, to be fired. The company won't want to deal with it because it's like, okay, we're a company. We have things that we do. We actually do things. And do we want to be sitting here dealing with the media and Muslim organizations and so on? No, easier just to fire the guy. It's easier just to fire him. But then once they fire him, then forever, for the rest of Thaddeus's life, this will be used against him. You were fired for your anti-Muslim bigotry. That will be used to dismiss him from anything. And anywhere he tries to get a job for the rest of his life, they'll go after him again. And look, don't you realize that this guy was fired for being an Islamophobic bigot at his last job? What's Thaddeus's big crime? He said, don't kill apostates. He said, don't marry kids. These are the big things that he's in trouble for. This is why you have to stand your ground. You can't give groups like CAIR an inch. They should not have power to get people fired like this. They are a front. They are a front for jihadis, trying to silence criticism of jihad while jihadis take over the entire world. That's what CAIR is doing. And they have their useful idiots who serve them. You should not let these people get away with this at all. You should expose them every single time. And companies should never back down. And if you back down from these guys, you're a coward and you've become useful idiots. Billman said he is contacting lawyers and hopes to make his side of the story known. Doing that right now. What I'm interested in is personal redemption, he said. The official paper about his termination does not list a reason, he said. Verbally, he was told that his values are not congruent with the organization's, Billman said. So I guess...
So they must be for killing apostates.
For killing apostates, for child marriage, for terror, for viewing non-Muslims as the worst of creatures. And for killing Jews, all that stuff. Yeah, for slaughtering. Yeah, you're totally out of whack with your company there, Thaddeus.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I was discriminated against because I hold unpopular views, he said. No, you actually hold very popular views. You're discriminated against because you actually have the guts to say it. Lots of people, think if you walk up to almost anyone in America, say, hey, should the apostate prophet be executed for leaving Islam? 99.9% of people would say absolutely not. Shouldn't be executed. So you have the exact same view. You just say it, and everyone else has been trained to keep their mouths shut. And so that's the unpopular part. Courage is what's unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
CAIR Ohio welcomed the news of shocker. CAIR Ohio welcomed the news of Billman's firing. CSB has stepped up and made the right decision, showing the Muslim and non-Muslim communities that criticizing our death penalty for apostasy and our obsession with marrying little kids and our desire to subjugate the kuffar around the world, that criticizing this is not welcome in its space and among its employees, said Khalid Turani, Executive Director of CAIR Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton chapters. Yeah, and Robert is right. Now they will use this to get more donations. Look, we're silencing the kuffar. We're silencing them. No one is allowed. We've established Sharia blasphemy laws in the U.S. Send us money so we can do it more. What do we know about CSB's investigations of Billman's actions? Here we go. Now we get to the good stuff about how evil Thaddeus is. In the video posted Sunday, Billman said he never brought up Islam at work and that an investigation into his channel was relaunched by CSB after an initial investigation was concluded last year. On March 12th, CSB said in an email that questions from the Dispatch led to HR reopening the case about Billman. So it's actually the Columbus Dispatch and CAIR that caused them to look into this. And we don't want to deal with the media fallout over this stuff. And we don't want to deal with Muslims complaining that we're Islamophobes and stuff.
Minor point here, but in the first article, they make it quite clear that CSB's first comment was that it was an ongoing investigation. Only after they spoke to me and I said that I had previously been cleared of these accusations, did CSB change their statement to the paper to say that they had reopened the case. So they tried to pretend that they were already investigating me. They're already aware of this. They already were on the verge of firing me anyway, but that was just a lie.
On March 13th, what is that? Niall? Niall Juris, the shelter board spokeswoman, reached out to the Dispatch to say that Billman's claims he was previously cleared of wrongdoing may give the impression that CSB conducted a formal review of his platform and concluded that he had engaged in no violations of CSB's code of conduct and other policies. Instead, the matter was still under investigation, Juris said at the time. Billman told subscribers in his Sunday video that he was told when he was fired that the investigation had been completed. I asked for a copy of the investigation, and I was given a line that they would have to ask the law firm's permission, he states in the video. This is obviously complete nonsense. You do not pay a law firm to produce something for you and then have to ask their permission for what you do with the document. In other words, they didn't want realistically, they don't want to give you any information because they know you might use it, right, in some sort of lawsuit.
Yeah.
So,
right. So I don't know which is the case, right? I don't know if a said document was produced. It certainly wasn't a thorough investigation. It took less than 48 hours. But I don't know if they got a document from a law firm and the HR manager was just too cowardly to say no. So she made up some excuse so that she wouldn't have to answer me when I asked. Or if no such document exists at all, I don't know one way or the other there. But I do know that that line is definitely not the truth.
Not the truth, eh? Okay. Let's see. On Tuesday, Billman told the Dispatch that he believes CSB is lying as he knows there was a previous investigation into his YouTube channel and its contents. The investigation was done last year following a complaint filed with CSB Human Resources by another employee. At the time, they told me they had hired a third-party lawyer who specialized in discrimination issues, that the lawyer reviewed the content, and they didn't find anything worthy of dismissal, he said. They didn't find anything that was highly problematic. That's weird.
That's what they told me at the time.
Okay, now we get to the content. What content was on Billman's channel? In previously posted free videos on the channel, Billman calls Muslims crackhead clown individuals. You call Muslims crackhead clown individuals, like Muslims in general?
I do not, right? So that someone could argue that that statement's technically true because I did call at least two people who identify as Muslims as crackhead clown individuals.
And you're saying this in response to them calling Christians who believe that Israel has a right to defend itself crackhead clown individuals. Let's be clear. That was it. All right.
Yep. So, I mean, that's why I use that particular clip.
Okay. Hang on. So yeah, you're pointing out that they can technically say, because you technically said it to Muslims, but what does it sound like? It sounds like you said
it sounds like Muslims in general. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So completely misrepresenting you in order to demonize you and make you look like an evil person. Because if they said accurately, he is watching a video of a very popular Muslim with 1.3 or 1.4 million followers on YouTube. That Muslim called Christians who support the right of Jews to defend themselves. He called them crackhead clown individuals, and Thaddeus replied, well, how would you like it if I called you crackhead clown individuals? And they portray this as you calling Muslims crackhead clown individuals. That about right? Yeah. So
So I mean, it's not. That's why I use the clip is to mock Ali Dawa for saying that the same way that we kind of use we're proud of it in context other than the exact context that it's given. So I did also say it in response to other popular Muslim YouTubers who were saying ridiculous things, and also non-Muslim people who were saying ridiculous things, all in the same video here. In this video, I watched, somewhere around 40 or 50 different YouTube shorts. And so when I was summarizing it, I said that we watched a bunch of crazy people today. And again, some of them were not Muslims. Some of them were white American males who are trying to grift Muslims by convincing them that they're sympathetic to Islam when all they really want is donations. So I said this, but it wasn't about Muslims in general. It wasn't even about Muslims exclusively. It was about people who make ridiculously stupid YouTube videos defending Islam. And it was said in the context of me joking around.
And guys, just for understanding the tactics of groups like CAIR and their useful idiots like Denai King, would anyone say with a straight face that they are accurately representing Thaddeus and the entire situation here? Anyone getting the impression that these people are accurate or that they care at all? Or are they doing anything they can to completely demonize anyone who has a problem with Islamic child marriage, death penalty for apostates? Are they just trying to demonize any critics of Islam? Which is it? Pretty clear, right? And openly states that he is a fan of a man the Southern Poverty Law Center calls one of America's most prolific and vociferous anti-Muslim propagandists. Isn't it weird that they don't say what you actually do? They just say, here's what the Southern Poverty Law Center says about Robert Spencer, not here's what he has actually done or claimed. Isn't that weird? It's weird stuff.
Well, it's also note that he openly states it. Mm-hmm. Openly. He admits it. It's as if it's not just a secret. It's not that he has some kind of a clandestine affinity that he secretly watches my videos in the dark of night.
Yeah, got to keep that stuff quiet, Thaddeus. Got to keep that stuff quiet.
He says it openly.
Shame on you.
And so, see, they're trying to give the impression that you're some unapologetic, absolutely out there racist, bigot, Islamophobe, and thus you deserve everything you've gotten.
Interesting. Billman interviewed known anti-Muslim figure, and what is guys? When the Columbus Dispatch and Deny King use anti-Muslim, what do they mean? You criticize Islamic terror. You criticize Islamic blasphemy laws. You criticize Islam trying to end our freedom of speech. You criticize child marriage in Islam. You criticize wife beating. You criticize these things, and that makes you anti-Muslim. And that's how they label you. Why? Because they know that there are lots of people who are stupid and fall for this. They go, what? Anti-Muslim? Yeah. Oh, no, they're out trying to kill Muslims. Oh, my goodness, I can't believe it. Wrong.
Exactly.
Billman interviewed known anti-Muslim figure Robert Spencer in October on his YouTube channel. Now we get into the problems with Robert. Spencer has written a lot. Ooh, shame on you, writing a lot. Ooh, busted. Spencer has written a lot and spoken out, often using rhetoric that's anti-Muslim. Now, what guys, we saw, if you consider Robert reporting on jihad, if you consider that anti-Muslim, what do you do with Muhammad saying that the end will not come until Muslims fight Jews and the Jews are running for cover and hiding and Muslims are running around killing them, slaughtering them? Is that anti-Jewish? No, you'd be an anti-Muslim bigot if you said it's anti-Jewish. Isn't that interesting? The double standards that always rise to the surface in Islam. Said Sahir Salad, a director of research at the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding. Spencer's work was quoted 64 times in the manifest. They're still using this, Robert?
That's the only thing they got.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna have to talk about this then. Spencer's work was quoted 64 times in the. I actually went through that. It was like 1,500 pages. I didn't read all 1,500 pages because some of the stuff was just like random, like his daily workout routine and his diet and recipes and stuff. This guy just he was obsessively including everything. He was even talking about like doing drugs and making sure he had enough cocaine right before his attack and so on. But all the parts where he's actually narrating why he decided to launch the attack, I read all of that. It was a lot. And sorry, guys, Spencer ain't have nothing to do with it. In fact, and I don't know why they didn't report this. I actually went through it. Robert, according to Anders Breivik's manifesto, he had decided in 1999 to carry out this attack. He spent the rest of the time plotting and preparing. He decided in 1999 to carry out this attack. Now, when did anyone ever hear of you, Robert?
2002, David. Maybe 2001, but certainly 2002, my first book came out.
So there is no way at all you influenced, unless you have a time machine that we don't know about, fueled by 1.21 gigawatts of Islamophobia. Unless you have a time machine, there is absolutely zero way you influenced Anders Breivik to carry out a terrorist attack, since he had it planned by 1999.
That's correct. And he very clearly says in his voluminous manifesto that it was Al-Qaeda and Hamas, and he saw that they would carry out terrorist attacks and get concessions from the authorities. He thought that's the way to go. So he was actually imitating Islamic jihadis. I had nothing to do with it. He actually criticizes me in his thing for not calling for violence. I mean, obviously, they're trying to give the impression here that these 64 quotes are all like, oh, go kill Muslims, go do terrible things, blow stuff up. When, of course, I've never said anything of that kind anywhere or anything even close to it. And, of course, they can't repeat any of the quotes that are in Breivik's manifesto because none of them incite to violence.
And they're all just factual. The quotes from you are factual information about jihad. That's it.
Yes.
And he's also quoting the Quran as factual information about what Islam teaches. And
and there's another thing, David. There was a documentary. It's a very strange thing about this, but I did a documentary called Islam: What the West Needs to Know. I didn't do it. Other people produced it. I was one of the speakers, and there were other speakers in it. And the script, the entire transcript of the documentary, word for word, perfect, is in Breivik's manifesto. And that's very strange because I asked the producer of the documentary, how did Breivik get the script? And he said, I said, where was it ever published? And he said, it was not only was it never published, nobody ever transcribed that thing. So somehow he was able to get hold, or somebody gave him a transcript of this documentary that doesn't exist anywhere else. And not only that, but the reason why they say I'm quoted 64 times is because if you've ever looked at a script, you know, whenever anybody is speaking, they put his name first. It's like in a play. And so it says, Batya Or, and then she speaks. And whoever else was in it, I don't even remember. And Robert Spencer, and then I speak. And so every time I speak, they mention my name again. So therefore, I'm quoted 64 times. He didn't actually even quote me that often. He just plunked the whole script of the documentary down in this thing. And it's still a mystery as to where he got it and how.
And so here's the thing, guys. As I pointed out, Anders Breivik had his attack planned by 1999. And what's interesting is he describes how he decided. Why did he decide to launch a terrorist attack? Robert already pointed out that, according to him, he got the idea from Al-Qaeda, right? But I went through the manifesto, and there were three main stages, and this is actually important. So there were three main stages leading up to his decision. So stage one was, he said, as he's growing up there in Norway, he noticed in the Muslim areas that Muslims were doing things like beating up non-Muslims and so on. This bothered him. And this eventually caused him to go to the Quran and the Hadith to find out what they taught. And he says he concluded, based on studying this, that Islam actually calls for violence against non-Muslims and so on. So he concluded that. That was step one. Step two was he thought about getting involved in politics to decide what to do about this. And hey, we need to stand against this. He said then he realized that if you dare speak out against Islam, journalists would demonize you and condemn you and silence you and call you a bigot and a racist and so on, and that you would be marginalized and you would never be heard. And then so he decided against going a peaceful route. He decided it's pointless to talk about Islam because you're just going to be called an Islamophobe and a racist and a bigot by the media. Is he wrong, Deny King? Okay. In other words, Deny King, you're trying to blame this on Robert. You're trying to blame this attack on Robert. Anders Breivik said that people like you caused him to give up on a peaceful response to Islam. People like you made him think it is impossible to talk about this. You'll just be demonized. You, not you. I mean, I don't know if you were even reporting back then, but people exactly like you, people who do what you do, convinced Anders Breivik that it was a waste of time to try and talk about these things peacefully. And so then he had to figure out what he wanted to do. And he said he learned from Al-Qaeda that the way to get your message through to people who refuse to listen is through a deadly shock attack. So at what point does Robert or Pamela Geller or anyone have anything to do with that? One, he's concerned about what Muslims were doing and what's in the Muslim sources. Step two was he found out from journalists like you, Deny, that he's not allowed to criticize it, and therefore peacefully responding to Islam is not an option. And Step 3, the way to be heard in this world is to launch a deadly terror attack. He learned that from Al-Qaeda. So who's responsible for his actual terrorist attack? Not according to us, according to him. Muslims and the Muslim sources convinced him that there's a problem. Journalists convinced him that there's no peaceful solution. And Al-Qaeda taught him that the way to be heard is through terror. Why are you trying to blame Robert Spencer for this when there is a 0% chance that Robert had anything to do with this process, because none of us had ever heard of Robert Spencer before then? Care to explain? Have we seen anything from Deny that is a fair representation of anything? Nope. I haven't. Not one. I haven't seen one line that is a fair representation of anything that's going on. Spencer's work was quoted 64 times. Straightforward quotations about what jihad is. Factual information that you could get from anywhere where people accurately report on jihad. There were also quotations from all sorts of philosophers and political leaders throughout, but you don't blame them, just Robert. Spencer's work was quoted 64 times in the manifesto of Anders Breivik, who killed 77 people in Norway in 2011 with bombs and guns, according to the New York Times. And Breivik, of course, blamed the Muslim sources and journalists and Al-Qaeda for where he got his idea. But not one mention of that in Deny's crack reporting here. Though Billman's associated website, Reason Answers, states he is a Christian apologist primarily concerned with the proselytizing and converting Muslims to Christianity, Sella told the Dispatch that it's concerning that Billman not only hosted Spencer, but said he was a fan of him.
Oh, man. Oh, you are such a terrible person. Oh,
worst person ever.
That was one sentence. I'm not really sure how those two ideas are connected whatsoever. Yeah, my website says that I'm interested in converting Muslims to Christianity, but I said I was a fan of Robert. How are those things related in any way? I don't know.
What they're trying to say, is, can you go back up, David, where it is?
I do have the technology.
Excellent. Though Billman's associated website, reasonedanswers.com, states he's a Christian apologist, primarily concerned with proselytizing and converting Muslims. See, you might not think there's anything wrong with that. An American who understands, who might be a Christian or even from a Christian background, might think, what's the big deal? Hey, that sounds fine. But you're not only hosting, but you're a fan of this guy who incites killers. And so you claim that you're just a good, a sweet little Christian preacher, but really under the surface and actually openly, as you've already admitted, you are a fan of this evil, evil person who makes who makes people commit murder.
And let's see. Let me go ahead and say, for your next article, Deny, I'm also a Christian apologist. I'm concerned with proselytizing and getting people of Muslim background, people who are atheist. I want to give them everything they need to make an informed decision about whether they should convert to Christianity. And I am a fan and a good friend of Robert Spencer. So use that. David, what is the worst person in the world? He's a friend of the man who is single-handedly responsible for the deaths of 77 people, even though this would assume that he has a time machine. But we here at the Columbus Dispatch will believe in a time machine if that helps us demonize critics of Islamic terror. Gosh, you guys you're the dumbest people in the world, and you don't realize it. There's only two possible scenarios here. Either Islam wins, either Islam eventually subjugates us all, in which case people like Denai King will be subjugated or forcibly converted to Islam, and will go down as the heroes of all useful idiots of all time. Or Islam will lose, and people like Denai King will go down in history as the useful idiots who tried and failed to help Islam subjugate us. There are two other videos with Islam references. Oh my goodness. They've got Islam references in them on Billman's YouTube channel for members only. One posted in October entitled, "My Ultra Secret Plans to Destroy Islam Revealed." Wow, why would you try to destroy? I mean, Islam says it's here to make all religion for Allah and to subjugate. Muhammad said, "I've been shown the east of the east and the west of the west, and I have seen that Islam controlled it all." So Islam wants to subjugate the world. That's fine. Islam wants to get rid of Jews and Christians. That's fine. If you want to destroy the ideology, notice what it says. The ideology. Islam. It's an ideology.
Mm-hmm.
But you're anti-Muslim. This makes it, they want you to sound like you want to go around killing Muslims. The other one, posted in December, is titled, Exciting New Developments in the Fight for Truth. And the image of the video's preview screen says, Islam must die. Well, it's good you got all that information by paying to become a channel member. And Billman told the dispatch...
I do have to thank her. I do have to thank her for the ad there, that she wants all of the readers to know that if they become a channel member, they'll not only get access to the video that she watched, but at least 2 other videos as well.
That is good to know that she's doing free promotions for becoming a channel member. Everyone, please take Denai King's advice and follow Denai King's personal example of subscribing to Thaddeus's channel and paying him. Thaddeus, I just have to say, given how Denai has attacked you here, constantly lied about you and so on, and attacked Robert, I think you should forward that $1.99 to Robert himself and say that is specifically you are specifically giving Robert the money that Denai gave you, and that way she has funded both. No, matter of fact, give him 50%, half of it. That way she will have equally.
And then I'll make a video publicly thanking Denai King for supporting my work at Jihad Watch.
Perfect video. I like this. I like this.
And send it to CAIR.
Yeah, and then we'll be waiting for the article. Columbus Dispatch reporter funds man on Southern poverty watch list, hate list, and so on. It'll be awesome. Awesome. And then Billman told the Dispatch on Tuesday that he does not hate Muslims and believes he has received a calling from God to help victims of an evil religion.
Oh, see, so now they're trying to make you sound like a nut because you've got a calling from God. Well, that's perfectly reasonable, Thaddeus. You know that, and I know that. But when they put it like this in the paper, in quotes like that, they're trying to make it sound like you're hearing voices. You think you're a prophet. You're some kind of lunatic on the street with a sign, the end is near. You know, the caricature of religious fanatics in the secular media.
Indeed. All right. I know this is extremely late for Robert. Do you need to cut out Robert, or should you check out this?
Yes,
okay.
It's been great. So.
All right, we're going to go through the CAIR article now, but you could cut out Robert.
Oh, you gotta. Is there anything new in there? I haven't actually seen that. Is there anything new in there?
It's a short one. You want to just read it real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's pretty short. Yeah. It's just their press release, so they can get donations from everyone saying, "Hey, we got another guy fired for being against child marriage."
Yep.
All right, so CAIR press release.
Equivalent. You remember that picture of the guy with all the heads on the fence behind him that he had beheaded? CAIR is kind of like that, and they have all our heads in a row behind them when they take pictures, and then they get donations that way.
We have silenced another one, ladies and gentlemen. We have silenced another one. So CAIR, Ohio welcomes firing of Columbus Community Shelter Board employee who allegedly posted anti-Muslim videos. And let's go. I'll just read this. I'll just read through this real quick. The Ohio chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, Ohio, welcomed the firing of an employee of the Columbus Community Shelter Board who allegedly posted anti-Muslim videos on his YouTube channel. David Wood uses a fake voice when he imitates us subjugating the world. Shame on him. This makes him the worst person ever. Columbus Community Shelter Board employee Thaddeus Spillman allegedly called Muslims crackhead clown individuals. Notice they never say one word about who actually said it, Ali Dawa. They don't have a complaint about that. If they were actually against calling people names like this, wouldn't they be blasting away at Ali Dawa? Never a word of criticism. It's weird, isn't it? Weird. What is it? What's the actual thing that's being stated? If you're a Muslim saying this about Christians, you're good to go. If you toss it back at them as a form of criticism, then you're an evil person and have to be shut down. Lovely organization you have. Bunch of hypocrites. Columbus Community Shelter Board employee Thaddeus Spillman allegedly called Muslims crackhead clown individuals and expressed support for Islamophobe Robert Spencer. They're using the exact same. So you said this thing.
Like excuse me, the Dispatch is using the CAIR press release probably, and just getting the whole structure of the article and where to go and who to talk about from CAIR.
More likely, actually, like they're working together and sitting down behind the scenes and saying, "Okay, what do you want us to say? What do you want us to say?"
But yeah, well, that's
here's
the
what
same
you say.
thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Columbus Community Shelter Board employee Thaddeus Billman allegedly blah blah blah. So the same two charges against you. You were repeating what Ali Dawa, a Muslim, said. No word about that, and expressed support for Islamophobe Robert Spencer on his YouTube channel. And who is Robert Spencer? A guy who reports jihad around the world, and CAIR does not want anyone to do that ever. The CSB has stepped up and made the right decision, showing the Muslim and non-Muslim communities that bigoted ideologies, what do you, like ones that would call for the extermination of Jews and for the violent subjugation of Jews and Christians and things like that, killing of apostates, banging little kids and so on. Is that a bigoted ideology?
No, that one does not count.
Doesn't count because it's ours. Are not welcome in its space and among its employees, said Khalid Turani, executive director of CAIR, Ohio, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Dayton chapters. We welcome the dismissal of this individual. But if he were a Muslim calling for the death of kuffar, we would celebrate him and say that no one can question him. He noted that CAIR Ohio had previously called for the dismissal of the employee after the YouTube channel came to light. CAIR's mission is to protect civil rights of Muslims, enhance understanding of Islam, promote justice, and empower American Muslims. Enhance understanding of Islam, then you should give Thaddeus a medal because he's helping people understand Islam, and you should give Robert Spencer a medal because he helps people understand Islam. What you mean is,
and look at this. La misión de CAIR es proteger las libertades civiles, mejorar la comprensión del Islam, promover la justicia y empoderar a los musulmanes en los Estados Unidos.
Indeed.
Yeah, man.
Do you like Oh, that's the end.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just saying that's the end. I thought the article continued.
There's a call for funds.
Yeah. Do you like this?
They want pesos too.
Then help contribute to CAIR's work of defending civil rights and silencing any American who dares criticize the sex with minors or jihad or killing apostates. Just to support our work, and we can keep silencing people like Thaddeus and Robert Spencer and getting stupid, idiotic organizations to join us in silencing them. Also, we can continue.
There's actually a serious point in getting the Spanish in there that, see, they are a good, solid, inclusive organization, and they're for diversity. Whereas evil old Thaddeus and me, oh man, we're beyond the pale. We probably only speak English.
Indeed. Well, that's the press release. So, Robert, no, you need to cut out. Okay. Good time to do so.
It's been great.
All right.
Nice talking to you, gentlemen. Good night.
Thank you. And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have Thaddeus's video. We went through the two reports. You've seen what's going on here. So what happens? You have an organization like CAIR. You have the Columbus Dispatch, the useful idiots. The entire goal of groups like CAIR is to silence people when they criticize all these things that Muslim spokesmen, popular Muslim speakers are shouting from the rooftops. This is what we believe. We're going to subjugate you. We're going to do all these things. And you are not allowed to say a word of it. In fact, one last short video clip, Thaddeus, just because you posted some clips, and I had just compiled some for a different video. But look at what popular Muslim speakers are saying openly, with no problem, and not one word of criticism from CAIR or the Columbus Dispatch ever. What's going on? Let's check it out.
The best kind of death I can have is I was fighting in the path of Allah and I died a shaheed.
The best that you can do is jihad. The jihad that we know of, which is fighting.
First and most and last goal is to re-establish that khilafah.
So very soon, my dear brothers and sisters, we're going to see the Khilafah expand into Jordan, into Saudi Arabia, onto the shores of Europe, and one day, Obama, he will witness his own country be run by the Sharia.
And inshallah, one day we will become martyrs. And there's going to be more martyrs. We're coming to power. We're coming to power. This is how we come to power.
Allah gives this religion the dominance that He promised it. Or I die in the process. I die in pursuit of that.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran what means
and fight against them until disbelief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is no longer dominant. And until the religion, all of it, is for Allah.
Did you guys just catch that? All religion has to be for Allah. Islam has to be dominant. What's he saying? Everything else has to be wiped out. All other ideologies have to be wiped out or subjugated. He's a good guy. If you criticize that and say, no, I don't want that to succeed, you're a racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot, according to the Columbus Dispatch and crack reporter Denai King.
It's impossible to find someone who truly believes in Allah and His Messenger loves someone who opposes Allah and His Messenger.
Did you catch that? If you're a Muslim, you cannot love people who oppose Allah and His Messenger. So if you've heard the message of Islam and you reject it, you are in opposition. You are not part of Islam. And you are not, as a Muslim, allowed to love anyone who rejects the message of Islam. Thaddeus, do you love Muslims?
I do.
That's interesting. So you love Muslims and non-Muslims. This guy says you cannot love non-Muslims, at least if they've rejected Islam or oppose Islam. So you're more loving, and yet this guy is the good guy, and you're the evil one. Isn't that interesting? According to the Columbus Dispatch.
This question comes up all the time in chat or something. A Muslim will come in, or maybe a misguided Christian will come in, or an atheist or whatever, and they'll say, "Why do you hate Muslims?" And I'll say, "I don't hate Muslims. I do this putting myself at personal risk precisely because I love Muslims. I want to see them come to the saving grace of Jesus Christ. If I actually hated Muslims, and I believed that, as I do, if they don't repent, they're going to hell. If I actually hated them, I would just not say anything and let them go to hell." So the mere fact that I speak up is proof that I actually love and care about them. But, they're projecting from their own worldview where if you say anything negative about someone, it must be because you hate them. They say negative things about me and other Christians, well, because they hate me.
Everything we represent goes in total contradiction to what the West represents.
The American government, secularism, democracy, capitalism, these are cancers.
To hell with their democracy!
Jews, Christians, as well as polytheists, they will be in the hellfire forever. Why? Because they are the sharul bariyah. They are the worst of the creation.
That worst of creation, we read that straight out of the Quran. Surah 98, verse 6, everyone. And just so you know, Surah 98, verse 6, Jews and Christians who reject Islam, worst of creatures. We're the worst of creatures. We're lower than dogs. Surah 3, verse 110, Muslims are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. That's the basis for the two-tier system in the Islamic world. Muslims are on top. Everyone else is inferior and has to be subjugated. What's amazing is you get to the West and you have Muslim organizations like CAIR and entire governments like what we see in the UK, and journalists like Denai King of the Columbus Dispatch, and they try to enforce the same thing. These guys get to do and say whatever they want. Your job is to shut up. Under no circumstances are you allowed to speak. Or if it's in Pakistan, they'll kill you, as Thaddeus was pointing out. But at the very least, in the UK, now they'll lock you up for saying something on Facebook. In the UK, they'll show up at your door and toss you in jail. Or in America, it's more moderate here. You just get fired from your job. But you always end up with the same thing. Interesting. And then the useful idiots enforce it. Denai, you are helping CAIR enforce Sharia in the U.S. You're that stupid.
Example, a kafir, a non-believer, a non-Muslim.
Yeah.
We hate him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
It was explained by Ibn al-Qayyim and many others, is to love and to hate for the sake of Allah, which is simply summed up as loving the Muslims and hating the non-Muslims.
You're telling the disbeliever, you're telling the people of shirk and kufr, I don't like you, I hate you because Allah hates you.
The kafir, those that leave the obedience of Allah and indulge in their desires, then Ibn al-Qayyim says they are worse than even animals.
Those people
right? The disbelievers amongst the Jews and the Christians and the mushrikeen, they will be in hellfire. They will be in hell eternally, and they are the worst of the creatures.
Guys, notice the repeat, like Muslim speakers, American, non-American, openly saying non-Muslims are the worst of creatures. Why? It's straight out of the Quran. So here's the thing, guys, everyone pay attention, because there are three things. In every one of these criticisms, there are three things. There's one, there's what the Muslim source says. Two, the Muslims today who are openly shouting it from the rooftops. This is what we believe. And three, us pointing it out. Us pointing out what the source says and what the person is saying. Non-Muslims are the worst of creatures. Is that the problem? According to Denai King, the Columbus Dispatch, and CAIR? No, not a problem. That is not a problem at all. Two, Muslims actually believing that we are disgusting, inferior creatures who have to be subjugated or forcibly converted or executed. Is that a problem? That's zero problem. Us pointing out that that the sources say this, and that there are people who believe it, and that this is a problem. Is that the issue? Absolutely, that is 100% of the problem, according to the Columbus Dispatch, CAIR, Denai King. We're the problem. Not what the Muslim sources say, and not the people who actually believe it and want to subjugate us and want to kill us because of our beliefs. Neither one of those are the problem. The only problem is the people who report on it. Like Robert Spencer, like Thaddeus, like me. We're the problem. So what's the problem? Journalists that we report on something. Isn't this amazing? That journalists have become anti-journalists. What does it take to be a journalist in the West today? You have to be an anti-journalist who silences people who are drawing attention to actual serious issues. You bunch of walking clown emojis. All right. All right, Thaddeus, should we go through these super chats?
Sure thing.
All right, let's see what we got here, ladies and gentlemen. Seemed like a case for defamation. I would agree that that should at the very least be explored. Pair character, it's a super sticker. Thank you for that. Moo Joe. Songs of Release says there once was a man named Thad. His boss knew he wasn't bad, but an expert complainer got Miss King on retainer. Now we ask God to bless this dear lad.
Appreciate that.
It's a good one. Rick Newton says, "Welp, I'm Canadian and I got Robert's critical Quran."
Don't let your employer know.
Someone arrest this man instantly. Okay, CAIR Canada, where are you at? This guy just openly admitted that he got Robert's critical Quran. Oh my goodness. That's super sticker. Thank you, Ida. Thaddeus probably has a defamation and wrongful termination case. By the way, you guys should look at Afshin Javid testimony and maybe have him on. I will screenshot this. Let's see. Gwyneth here says, "Thank you for opposing the Letterbox Cosplay Society." Tal on head cult bad. Will be judged by God. Our problems are with people saying they want to kill apostates and subjugate unbelievers and so on, and have sex with little kids and so on. You know, because we're bad guys. Only bad guys have a problem with terrorizing unbelievers and subjugating people and molesting little kids. Only bad people, according to the Columbus Dispatch. Gents, keep up the great work. Question: is the UK... What is this? SOL. What's that mean? Soul? What is that? Don't know what that means, Mr. Cranges. Is the UK... Don't know what that means. Let's see. We need a graphic of Islamic timeline for illiterate. I'm sure there are some of those. Thank you. Ida. Ida was ticked off about something we were going through. This from a little while ago. Finally, my life has settled down enough, and I have managed to replace my computer and buy a webcam such that I have been able to make videos again. Awesome, Solaria. And love you, brother. Hey, thanks, Eli. My buddy Eli from Florida. More people should criticize Islam, in my opinion. Yes. And guys, see what just happened to Thaddeus? That's the problem there is if it's few people, it's easy to target them. If it's only a few people who are calling out Islam, it's easy to target them. If everyone is just becomes aware of what Islam teaches about child marriage and all these things, and everyone's pointing it out, you can't. There's strength in safety in numbers. So yes, that's why everyone needs to be exposing this stuff and exposing the hypocritical and borderline insane reporters like Denai King and her ridiculous, whatever newspaper is stupid and insane enough to let her use their newspaper to silence critics of child marriage and killing Jews and subjugating unbelievers and killing apostates, all these things.
Yeah, real quick before you go on, that comment is really good there. I mean, a lot of people have made comments saying that I should sue them, and a couple of people made comments about like approaching my elected officials, and I am pursuing every path. But understand that things like that, well, they might bring benefit to me. They don't do anything to address the actual problem here. What we need is everyone talking about this, right? We need everyone speaking up, saying this is not right. This should not happen in America. We need to have the ability to criticize things that are wrong. We need to be able to criticize anything, right? One of the comments I made to the reporter, which didn't make it into the article, was if I made the exact same exact same comments about Christianity, or if I made the exact same comments about Christians, even though I didn't actually make comments about Muslims, no one would have cared, right? It would not be a story that community shelter board employee calls Christians crackhead clowns. That would never be a story, right? And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with people being able to call Christians names or criticize us however they want, but we need to have that same ability to criticize Islam. And the only way to do that is not through lawsuits. It's not through us asking other people to do something. It's about each person who's watching this to stand up and say, I will speak the truth. I will share this story. I will do something about the problem.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So guys, once again, the solution is for more people to become informed and to expose this stuff. An organization like CAIR and their useful idiots at the Columbus Dispatch would be completely unable to silence an informed population of free people. They could not do it. In other words, if you had millions of people who are familiar with what Islam teaches about child marriage and killing Jews and subjugating Christians and so on, if you had an informed population that people knew about this and people knew about the tactics that CAIR and the Columbus Dispatch uses, that anytime someone criticizes killing apostates, and if you criticize Ali Dawa for saying, yeah, we're going to kill the apostates and we're going to be eating the popcorn, yeah. If you criticize that, they say, anti-Muslim bigot has... If you understand their tactics would not work. And so everything comes down to having an informed population of free people. That is Islam's kryptonite. So yes, you are correct. Your favorite maid. Don't worry, Thaddeus. This just pushed me over the edge. I will now exclusively wipe my bottom with Quran pages. You see what you've done? Do you see what you've done, Denai King? Do you see what you've done, CAIR? You caused someone to exclusively wipe his bottom with Quran pages. Not because of what we've done, because what you did. You just enraged someone who said, wow, if this is what Islam does to people, gets people fired, simply for standing up for human rights, then I have nothing but contempt for this book. I'm not even going to tell them not to do it. Because I'm not the cause. You have to tell them not to do it, Denai. Stefan the Pelted said, David, can you post this clip? I'm assuming you talk about the little clip I just shared of it. Yeah, you said Muslim speaking somewhere so that I can send it to people. Yeah, I'll post it. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, I'll go ahead and post that on Twitter later. And if I forget, remind me. And then you can have the video and you can download it from there. Let's see. Why are the most vocal Muslims very open pedos? Well, technically they're not saying they're attracted to kids. They're just saying it's okay if you are, and that it's perfectly acceptable. So when you see a Muslim defending child marriage, doesn't mean he wants to marry a child, although he may. But all these clips of Ali Dawa and Daniel Hakikachu and all these guys defending child marriage, that just means they're saying it's okay if you're a 54-year-old man and you have sex with a 9-year-old or 5-year-old, 6-year-old, you're totally fine. Remember, Thad, whoever reported you saw nothing wrong with the people advocating child rape and killing apostates, but shame on you for addressing it. That is correct. Daily Wire, I would like your opinion on why Dawa and hijab do what they do. Do you think they actually believe they are right? I'm kind of like 50-50. On the one hand, if you actually believe this stuff, you'll do this stuff. On the other hand, if you're a grifter, you'll say the exact same thing to impress the ummah. So either way results in the same exact behavior. So I'm not sure. Mojab sure likes his thesaurus. He spices his speeches up for us. Did he give up on boxing, moved up to outfoxing? I don't know, but he tries not to bore. Whoa, okay. This was a limerick here. I messed up. I just thought this was a comment. Mojab sure likes his thesaurus. He spices his speeches up for us. Did he give up on boxing, move to outfoxing? I don't know, but he tries not to bore us. There you go.
Good work.
Well, this is all important because Robert always challenges people to make better poems than him.
Oh, yeah, good
so
point.
He's gone before he got the competition. Say, Robert is running from the powerful speeches, from powerful limericks. The press doesn't have a problem with going after various groups or individuals. They just want to have a monopoly on it. Right. They love going after groups. Just not Islam. I'm literally scared of sharing this live. The Muslims here will come after me. So sad. Yep. Don't know where you are, but... Brutal truth. Brute truth. Women stay home. Half the world. Problem solved. I got Lily Dawa. Lily J there. David, but how do we realistically get rid of Islam? I think what Thaddeus was saying is needing more people exposing it. Guys, everyone thinks Islam is this super strong thing. I don't. There is a reason. Guys, people's reaction tells you what their weakness is, right? What does Islam do? Always, whether it's Pakistan or the UK or America, they try to silence the critics. What does that mean? What is their biggest concern? What is their kryptonite? Criticizing Islam. Why? Because it's the most criticized, it's the most obvious nonsense on the planet if you actually go after it and expose it. That's why they have to silence the critics. Always listen to people. Always listen. Matter of fact, Muhammad Hijab did that poll a couple years ago, where he asked Muslims, what is, when you doubt Islam? So he said he's only asking people who are Muslims, but who have doubts about Islam sometime. When you doubt your religion, what is it that causes your doubts? The number one thing they listed was problems with Muhammad's character. What's that mean? They don't hear problems with Muhammad's character coming from Muslims or their Muslim spokesmen or their sheikhs or their imams. They don't hear that from them. Where do they hear that from? They hear that from us. What's that mean? That's what wrecks their confidence in Islam, is hearing actual factual information. Where does that come from? That comes from people learning and then sharing it. What's that mean? It means we know what we need to do. So this is connected. If more people learn about this, one, it destroys the ability of CAIR and their useful idiots of the Columbus Dispatch to silence critics. But once you can't silence critics and you have an informed population, they've told you that's what destroys their confidence. So that's the solution. Now, to be clear, there are times when the military or the CIA or the FBI has to deal with like terrorist threats and so on. Dealing with the actual ideology, that comes through learning about it and exposing it. And so that's how you deal with Islam. That's how you deal with Islam. And to be clear, I don't think you're just going to get rid of Islam that way. You don't need to. It just needs to be weakened to where they're not, hey, we're, like Hijab was saying, now we're on the verge, we're on the verge. You want them not in that position of thinking they're on the verge of subjugating you. Because when they think they're close, that's when they start getting violent. Matthew 20:16, you find me there, but do not make more of me. I am not there yet. Do not make less of me. I am a witness. Why is Mammon preventing me from saving you? David told to stare. Liar. You understanding this, Thaddeus?
I have no idea what this is supposed to mean.
Yeah, I don't know. And my brain's a little too fried now to think closely about it. So guys, don't get too complicated or sophisticated in your comments. I'm not going to understand them right now. I posted the link to this live on her feed on X. Was I wrong? No, of course not. What do you mean, the reporter? It's a good idea.
Is that what you mean? You posted it on the reporter's Twitter page? That's great.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, and guys, I mean, seriously, you should be asking the Columbus Dispatch and so on why they're helping Muslim organizations silence people from criticizing child marriage, killing apostates, slaughtering Jews. Why are they opposed to us speaking out about these things? Why? 36 years of living in Israel, most of us live a lie. We're always taught that Islam is a religion of peace. People here don't know real Islam. That is a problem. Big fan, brothers. Say not 3. Yesterday, IP vid Ali Dawa equals neckbeard Elmo. I'm still laughing. Plato and the Bible are clear what justice is. Let's see. When criticizing Islam get pushed back about evil British Empire, do you guys have any thoughts on this? When criticizing Islam get pushed back about evil British Empire, do you have any thoughts on this? Well, whatever. Islam came before, everything Islam teaches taught it before the British Empire. So I don't know. I'd point out, how is that relevant? When we're criticizing Islam, we're criticizing Islam for what it teaches and for people who are carrying out these sick, evil commands. So saying Great Britain is bad is irrelevant to whether the question of whether Muhammad was a true prophet or not. Seems like a case of wrongful termination, defamation, slander, and putting Thaddeus in danger. Trump is now in charge with the new Justice Department. Yeah, it is a combination of things. I mean, really, I mean, in court, a good lawyer, hey, you said this, here's the actual case. Do you think this is an accurate representation of what he said? And then putting you actually in danger, representing you as this horrible, evil person who's anti-Muslim, and then, oh, and here's how you can find him, just look him up. Seems bad. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You see, this is the proof that HR is not your friend. So wrong. Dispatch needs totally boycotted. Mm-hmm. Love my brothers and sisters in Christ. Pray for one another. Thank you. Yep, absolutely correct. You cannot make secularists understand that people can submit to and act on religious convictions. It breaks relativists' brains. They cannot believe the threat. That's true, especially when you program them. I hate all the double standards and hypocrisy. That is my issue. If you wanted to be consistent, right? If you wanted to be consistent, that would be one thing. If you wanted to say no criticizing anyone from any group ever, okay, then do that. And don't criticize Thaddeus then. If you believe it's wrong to criticize someone for his views, do not criticize Thaddeus. If you believe it's okay for Ali Dawa to be saying these things, then great. Do not criticize Thaddeus for pointing out when Ali Dawa says these things, right? But yeah, the problem is it's okay for all of these guys, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa, Jake, all these guys to say whatever they want. And if you say one word of criticism, you're the evil person who has to be silenced and fired. Robert, I bought your book as a birthday gift to a Muslim professor from my college. Oh, sucks that Robert is.
Oh, man. Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, he tried keying me in class, so I pulled my sunnah.com sources. Nice. Mosh Cohen is fun. Always fun. He's got mad scientist level skills. Can I use his time machine to travel to 570 AD? Yep. The Islamophobic musketeer shall prevail. It is written in Jibril's Injil. Ezra scribes that Mr. Robert is a Zionist Mossad agent. Scary Zionism. Anybody want to do a vid or series on CAIR? I'm in for helping. Unindicted co-conspirator Fed suit. Yeah, it's weird. It's like I keep thinking of CAIR as like people don't listen to them anymore, but it's clear some people do. It's like that Drake meme, invite to speak Yazidi women who were raped and sold as sex slaves. No. Hamas simps who speak about global intifada. Yeah, that is always hypocrisy. Hey, Dr. Wood, off topic, I started channel against Islamic teachings, but I think mine is way funnier than yours and full of content, and I am way more better looking than you. Yes, it's possible to be. Well, that's good. Hey, if you can do it better, hey, if you're better looking and you've got better stuff and you're funnier, everyone be sure to check that out. Hey, I am looking for a generation that completely outdoes me and makes me obsolete. So make it happen, Dwayne. And Dwayne says, watch the Islamic toilet training video. Okay, I'm going to screenshot this. Now you got me interested enough to actually check out your channel. Religion of peace, I'm told. Jesus equals Prince of Peace. Islam, hate non-Muslims, Christianity, love your enemies. And keep in mind, like CAIR, the Council on Islamic Relations, how dare you say this, even though they know it's true. And deny would be just, oh my goodness, I can't believe you say that. We just saw a bunch of Muslims announcing it. Why? Because that's what Islam teaches. You have to hate the unbelievers. You have to hate those who oppose Islam. You have to. And we're told love our enemies. But that makes us the bad ones somehow. God will bless you greatly for your faithfulness. Your live stream is awesome. I agree. It is pretty awesome. We have, that's a super sticker and another super sticker. Thank you guys for the super stickers. D Wood, I was no friend of Islam. I saw it with my own eyes, but I thought the Aisha thing was Christian propaganda. Keep on telling the truth. Michael, I also thought it. I heard that when I was in prison. You can use that in your article, Deny. D Wood was the next con. Yes, I am. You can watch my entire testimony video and just say, and this horrible ex-convict, blah, 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 Islamophobic. That's how you report. We know. Yeah, I was in prison, and I heard from a Christian there who read it in Voice of the Martyrs about child marriage in the Muslim world, said that Muhammad had a child bride, 9-year-old. And all I thought was, there's no way this would be this popular in prison if this guy had sex with a 9-year-old. I thought it was just propaganda. And then I get out, and when it's during my discussions with Nabil that I actually find this all over the Muslim sources. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So, yep, that is an issue. Ray Lil Black, a Japanese adult actress who converted to Islam. She may be the Japanese Lily J. The Pakistani guys are all over her. Quran only fans. Yep, this is all going to go well. Notice they're desperate to cling to anyone who converts to Islam right now. Desperate actions imply insupportable ideology. Yeah, and at people who are just obsessed with silencing all criticism, probably not terribly confident that their ideas can stand up to scrutiny. Because keep in mind, suppose the situation were different. And suppose CAIR was like, hey, and the Columbus Dispatch, suppose they had handled this completely differently. And they said, hey, Thaddeus says he's a fan of Robert, and Thaddeus is saying these things about Islam, and Robert is saying these things. You know what? Let's all get together for a big public discussion and get to the bottom of this. Wouldn't that be the way to really solve the issue? If they thought they could if they thought these guys are lying, wouldn't that be how you deal with it? But they don't. You have to silence them. Interesting, right? I don't regard you as confident in what you're saying if you have to silence all criticism. Thad the Chad, it's a good nickname. And notice, are you mocking me? No comment, but thank you for the super chat. And let's sound the alarm. Perhaps it's time to contact the White House. The best thing that happened to us is that Allah decided to speak English. Now we can all see right through the dirty pages of their book. Yeah, that's you're kind of joking, but yeah, finding out what Islam teaches, them translating their works and then announcing it that was a problem. That was a problem for them. So absolutely. And then from Giovanni.
Yeah, real quick. That is absolutely true that some studies have been done as to why so many people are leaving Islam in the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever, compared to all of human history up to that point. And one of the reasons cited is exactly that the Quran has been translated into the vernacular. People are actually understanding it. And Saudi Arabia spent a lot of money doing this. They spent a lot of money translating the Quran and other texts into native tongues because they saw when people translate the Bible into native languages, you get lots of converts. They do the same thing with the Quran and other scriptures, and you get lots of people going, I thought this was really beautiful. I'm reading it, and it sounds like utter garbage. And not only does it sound like utter garbage, the teachings are utter garbage. What the heck is going on here? And then they end up leaving Islam.
That was one of their biggest mistakes. I pointed out before, if you go back to the 1960s and so on, when like Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X were spreading Islam and so on, the Muslim preachers could say whatever they want back then, and no one was in a position to correct them at all because no one knew it was in their sources. So they could say anything they want and get away with it. Now that people have open access to their sources, they're having some serious problems. But hey, check out this comment. Deny, you can use this, and you can say, "Hey, David read this comment out loud. Oh my goodness, he should be publicly hanged." Muhammad, look what it says. Deny was the best of receivers. And Deny, we don't think you know anything about Islam, but this is talking about Muhammad apparently had a relationship with a guy named Diha al-Kalbi. So this could be kind of a crossover because you talk about how you deal with LGBTQ issues and so on. You could actually have a good discussion about how Muhammad had a boyfriend. And I could send you the sources. Just send me a message. I'll send you the sources on Muhammad having a relationship with a man named Dihal Kalbi and claiming that it was the angel Gabriel. Very interesting. 1 Corinthians 4, I will find out not just the talk of these arrogant people, but evaluate their spiritual power with whether they live up to their own claims. For the kingdom of God is not based on talk, but on power. Momo was a chomo, and the Quran is ancient CP content. That is. I think that's child. Yeah. Seriously need to check out the latest episode of Sean Ryan Show. Lots of info there. Not familiar with, I've heard the name Sean Ryan, never paid attention to it, but yeah, we'll check it out. All right, guys, I needed to be off here by 11 my time, so we are right at that time. Any final words or anything? Just tell people what you got coming out, because I know you got more on this coming out, right?
Yep. So my next video, so I'm going to go on a number of shows to try to spread this message. My top priority for anyone who wants to help out is to spread the message, share it. If you have specific media contacts, do let me know about that. But then the next video that I put out on my own channel will be telling my full story, get my side of everything that happened. We've gone over like the high level details, but if you're interested in all the little things that went down and why I feel that I was very mistreated, not just because I was fired, but because of the way the whole situation was handled. I was treated like garbage, thrown out like someone who was caught stealing or had punched someone or something along those lines. Zero compassion, zero empathy for me. So that will be my next video. If you want to get involved, like I said, share it. But if you do also want to get financially involved, the links to my support options are on my channel.
So again, so basically you posted a short video, but there's significantly more that you're going to share about this situation. That's one thing. And again, Thaddeus has been fired. We don't know if he's going to be able to easily get another job or if this is going to be an ongoing problem. So if you want to support him in the meantime until he gets that figured out, you can check that out. The link to his channel and the link to the video that he shared this morning are in the description box. And subscribe to his channel to keep following this story, especially as he has to figure out what to do and what legal route to pursue. Yep, you want to follow all of that, and we will keep everyone updated on Thaddeus' situation here. Thank you, Thaddeus, for joining us and standing up for the truth, and we will catch you all next time.